Chapter 302. Rumble. In the basin, the hundreds of thousands of barbarians suffered a calamity. The vermilion bird statue that they worshipped day and night suddenly emitted countless flames that landed on the basin like meteors. When the flames touched their bodies, they immediately started to burn, causing them to howl in pain. However, they would not die immediately. Why does our God want to burn us to death? The hundreds of thousands of barbarians rolled on the ground. The flames could not even be extinguished by water, causing them to suffer hellish pain. Their resentment was extremely deep. Burn, hell. Slowly being burned to death, your resentment will become deeper and deeper, the more powerful it will be. All of the burned souls, flesh, blood, and resentment gathered into the vermilion bird statue. An hour later, countless people died in pain. The vermilion bird statue was originally fiery red, but it had now turned black. King formed a spell, and the vermilion bird statue turned into a black beam of light that shot into the distance. Meanwhile, in Clipchamp's castle, everyone was waiting. As expected, the black beam of light descended and shot into the book of Heavenly Demon. When Zhuge saw this scene, joy appeared on his face. Now, let's see how Li Wanlong's will is and whether he can turn the world upside down. Just as he finished speaking, endless tremors suddenly erupted from the depths of the Heavenly Demon book. It was as if a small world was exploding. 10,000 dragons roared, and an earthen yellow light appeared. Many divine beasts roared incessantly, and Hugu's horrified voice could be heard. Buzz, the book of Heavenly Demon, trembled more and more violently. It was about to fly up and turn into a beam of light to escape. If the book of Heavenly Demon left, Clipchamp and the others would lose everything. They would not obtain the vermilion bird egg, and the book of Heavenly Demon would escape. At this moment, Zhuge patted Jin Suebu's body. 5 beams of starlight appeared in Jin Suebu's body and shot into the sky. He activated the power of the stars, and countless beams of starlight descended, crashing into the book of Heavenly Demon and sealing it. Zhuge, on the other hand, activated the 7-star profound meaning. In that instant, the profound mysteries of the 7 stars resonated with the 7 stars in the sky. In the daytime, the stars truly appeared, stealing the radiance of the sun and moon. At this moment, a total of 12 stars appeared in the sky, sensing the celestial phenomena. The vastness of this concept was simply unprecedented. No matter where they were, as long as they had a slightly higher cultivation base, they would be able to see the power of the stars falling into Clipchamp's territory like a heavenly waterfall, making loud, rumbling sounds. The area within a radius of several hundred kilometers had become a sea of starlight. This was not something that could be described by ordinary phenomena. What? The Lord of 7 stars has appeared. In the depths of the wildlands, in the middle of a cluster of lakes, there was a dimension that was made up of boundless starlight. The figure of the Grand Preceptor Wenhong appeared. Wenhong was the first to notice the abnormality. He cultivated the myriad stars flying immortal art, so he was most sensitive to the stars. You could say that no one was more familiar with them than he was. In the blink of an eye, he opened his eyes from within his divine kingdom and saw Clipchamp's territory. He saw the 12-star profound meanings appear, and in the blink of an eye, the power of the stars became almost tangible. It enveloped the entire territory for hundreds of kilometers, penetrated deep into the earth, and transformed all of the rocks and soil into starstone. He wanted to take action and absorb the 12-star profound meanings, but he suppressed himself. I really have to look at them in a new light. They actually managed to get the Lord of 7 stars to work for them. If they succeed, the Celestial Commerce Department will truly be a force to be reckoned with. Let's see how they survive this tribulation. Zhuge completely unsealed himself, unleashing the full power of the 7 stars' profound meanings. He drew upon the stars, gathered their power, and broke through the shackles. His cultivation base rose steadily. Clipchamp watched as his cultivation base rose rapidly. From the 14 transformation, nascent divinity projection, to the 15 transformation, heaven eye emptiness, to the 16 transformation, reincarnation in a corpse, and then the 17 transformation, Tao-splitting divinity. Furthermore, Zhuge Ye didn't just have 3 nascent divinities. He had 7. These 7 nascent divinities constantly absorbed the power of the stars, unleashing boundless explosive power and potential. Gu Qinsha had never seen such tyrannical potential. This was someone twice as powerful as Fa Wuxian. As for Zhuge Ye, he waved his hand, and Jin Suebua's 5 stars began to rotate, transforming as they attempted to fuse into his body. However, he had forcibly seized these 5 stars. They were heaven-defying, and if they fused with them, there would be countless disasters. The lightning in the sky transformed, as did yin and yang, all of which surged toward Jin Suebua. Zhuge Ye leveled up in an instant, and his cultivation base increased by more than 10 times. Gu Chun, Sha Lu, Bai Yu, and even the black tortoise baby could sense that invincible power. His power was connected to the 4 of them, and their connate astral energies and nascent divinities were propelled by his nascent divinities. Lu Baiwei seemed to be on the verge of another breakthrough. The 5 of them joined forces and once again suppressed the heavenly demon tome. However, Zhuge Ye's sudden increase in power revealed his position and status. All the experts of the world knew that the Lord of 7 Stars had appeared. This was extremely dangerous. Even the most powerful of existences had to obtain the title of Lord of 7 Stars. Last time, the reincarnated servant boy of the martial song planet had been coveted by countless almighty experts. In the end, the Black Cosmos Gate's sect master Chong Wei-Yong had kidnapped him. This time, as the Lord of 7 Stars, Zhuge Ye had shaken the world. Rumble. 10 breaths of time later, the world changed color. An enormous hand descended from the east, blotting out the sun and blotting out the sky. It glowed with azure light, carrying with it all the majesty of the world. In the blink of an eye, it was in the air above Gu Qinsha's fief. Everything within a radius of several hundred kilometers was snatched away by this hand. The power of this hand was enough to grab mountains as if they were nothing. That's the Black Heaven Earth Gates, Azure Dragonwood, Grand Emperor art. Gu Qinsha's eyes were filled with rage. He felt an incomparable pressure. What a bunch of thieves. They're clearly looking down on the imperial court. They're openly attacking a prince's residence. How dare they? The power of this hand was enough to shake heaven and earth. It wasn't something that Gu Qinsha and the others could stand up to. The Black Heaven Earthgate's sect master was a peerless old-timer. Rumor had it that he had already cultivated to the Tao realm 30 transformations, making him a true god. In addition, the Black Heaven Earthgate also had a true Azure Dragon sacred beast. The Black Heaven Earthgate was the #1 sect of the ancient 72 sections. Its deep reserves were far beyond what ordinary sects could compare to. Many old-timers feared the imperial court and didn't dare to make a move. However, the Black Heaven Earthgate's sect master was throwing caution to the wind. It was clear that he was ready to shed all pretense of cordiality with the imperial court. He was also certain that Grand Emperor Heavenly Talisman wouldn't appear. Of course, the actions of these old-timers were all within the calculations of Gu Qinsha, Zhuge Ye, and the others. 7-star profoundness, 5-star profoundness, calamity of heavenly tribulation, Xuanwu, transformation. Zhuge Ye suddenly slapped his hand. His 7-star profoundness and Jin Suebua's 5-star profoundness all flew into the Book of Sky Demon. Then, the Book of Sky Demon flew into the sky and violently expanded, smashing towards the palm. The green palm immediately grabbed at the Book of Sky Demon. An unparalleled power broke through the restrictions of the Book of Sky Demon, wanting to grab the 7-star profoundness and 5-star profoundness. But at this moment, the Book of Sky Demon contained the North Star Will and Li Wanlong's will. How could it be so easy for the green palm to grab the 7-star profoundness and 5-star profoundness? Great mighty sky dragon. At this moment, a deep voice came from the west. A giant dragon claw broke through the void and grabbed at the Book of Sky Demon. However, the Book of Sky Demon had already turned into a ball of demonic clouds that covered hundreds of miles. When the dragon claw grabbed it, it seemed to be sucked in. "It's the Great Might Dynasty's Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor," Liu Bai West said, the Black Heaven Earth sect leader. The Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor and Li Wanlong are probably the top 3 old-timers in the world. Use the Death Exemption Talisman and cut off their power. At this moment, Zhuge Ye suddenly said, "Cut off their power and protect us at the same time. With the help of these 3 powers, we can completely break open the Book of Divine Fey. After this tempering, my 7-star profound meaning can be completely integrated into my body. The Book of Divine Fey can also be used by us." All right, Gu Qinshan knew that this was the last chance. All his schemes were like this. He took out the Death Exemption Talisman that the Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor had given him and suddenly used it. The Death Exemption Talisman was his final trump card. Using it now would maximize his benefits. If Gu Qinshan had only been attacked by one of the old-timers, then he would have only been able to save his life and repel the old-timers. But now, Zhuge Ye could become the true Lord of 7 stars. He could cut off the power of Li Wanlong, the Black Heaven Earth sect leader, and the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor. He could borrow the power of these 3 peerless old-timers to destroy the Book of the Heavenly Demon and take control of it. Under such a scheme, whether it was Goddess Hu Gu or the ancient divine Beast Demon Soul, they could only be drawn into it. With the 7-star and 5-star profoundness as bait, these old antiques had no choice but to take the bait. Originally, Zhuge Ye had a series of preparations, but after the appearance of the vermilion bird egg, he changed his plans. The moment the Death Exemption Talisman was taken out, there was no sound, but the world seemed to freeze. Time seemed to stop at this moment. The Heavenly Talisman, Great Emperor's Talisman, could suppress everything. Not to mention the power of sages, even the power of the Heavenly Tao, such as the Heavenly Sacrifice Talisman, would be completely distorted. This huge power first protected Gu Qinshan's fief, then rushed into the Book of Sky Demon. The Book of Sky Demon was filled with endless killing intent. It was also a threat to Gu Qinshan and the others. The power of the Death Exemption Talisman, in addition to protecting oneself and avoiding certain death, also contained the true essence of killing. The majesty of an emperor could not be blasphemed. Chapter 303. The moment the Death Immunity Talisman appeared, Heaven Talisman Emperor's power surged into the sky and shook the entire area. The talisman's power turned into a giant cover that covered 100 miles of land. No matter what kind of power struck it, it was useless. It was pretty much an absolute defense. A portion of the talisman's power charged into the Heaven Monster Book, and screams could be heard from within. It was as if numerous worlds were being destroyed and numerous monster souls were being shattered. Furious roars could be heard. Why? Gu Taxian is actually fine. His talisman power is still here, which means that he still exists in the world. Kacha! The moment this voice was heard, it was destroyed by the talisman power and shattered like an egg. Good, my choice was not wrong. Zhuge Ye nodded his head. If I chose other celestial sects or factions to protect me, it would have been tough for me to pass today. I might have been controlled and refined by others. Only by joining the Heaven Talisman Emperor will I be able to pass this safely. As the power in the Book of Celestial Demons shattered, Zhuge Ye suddenly moved. The profound mysteries of the 7 stars flew out of it again and fused into his primordial spirit. They rotated and gradually fused into one. This process lasted for a long time. During this period of time, Zhuge Ye was in the most danger. If he was captured and refined, he would be able to obtain the 7-star profundities. The other 5-star profundities also flew out. That was Jin Suebu's. The profundities entered the Heaven Monster Book and were refined by many powers. They started to shatter, and this was the best time to refine them. Jin Suebu's body suddenly exploded, transforming into a stream of energy. This stream of energy wrapped around the 5-star profundities, wriggling constantly. Vaguely, one could see the core of the stream of energy, signs of his sea of consciousness spinning. Tao Realm, 20 transformations, gathering and dispersing impermanence. Gu Chensha and Lu Baiwei could tell that Jin Suebu's strength had actually reached such a realm. Jin Suebu himself was extremely powerful. Thinking back to the time when the limitless heavenly sect was destroyed, he was the only one who could escape. If he could fuse a fifth star profound meaning with it, he would quickly reach the level of an old fogey. Putting him in charge of the Celestial Commerce Department's Immortal Tao would make him an excellent choice. At this moment, Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwei could seize Jin Suebu's five-star profound meaning and refine it themselves, but they didn't do so. Instead, they guarded Jin Suebu and injected a gust of innate stellar energy into the ball of gas that Jin Suebu had transformed into, helping him refine the five-star profound meaning quickly. Zhuge Ye kept activating his 7 primordial spirits, borrowing their power to refine them. 1 day passed, 2 days passed, 3 days passed. The Death Protection Talisman's talisman power was still there, enveloping a radius of 100 miles. It did not waver in the slightest. In the past few days, countless powers bombarded the talisman, but it was useless. By now, countless aristocratic families had learned that the Celestial Commerce Department had obtained the Lord of 7 Stars and was currently refining the 7-star profound meaning. Soon, the Lord of 7 Stars would appear. But there was nothing the aristocratic families could do. The Death Protection Talisman's power couldn't penetrate them. Furthermore, the fact that the Death Protection Talisman could still unleash its power meant that Grand Emperor Celestial Talisman was still alive. No one dared to act rashly. Damn it, I fell for it. Gu Tanjian was in his fiefdom, looking at the Death Protection Talisman's power and starlight. I haven't even prepared how to rob the Lord of 7 Stars yet, and now it's happening ahead of time. I wasted 3 dragon-making pills for this information. We're still useful. At the very least, we planted a pawn in the Celestial Commerce Department. Isn't Bao Ming constantly providing us with information? Mr. Pylon was at Gu Tanjian's side. If we want to fight for the Lord of 7 Stars, we'll have plenty of opportunities in the future. He's a person, not a magical treasure. He can't be completely controlled. But now that he's fused with the 7-star profound, I can't refine him. Even if I capture him and kill him, I won't be able to get the 7-star profound meaning. Gu Tanjian's voice was filled with greed and regret. It doesn't matter. I think that's a good thing. You don't need to absorb the Lord of 7 Stars. As long as you capture him and sacrifice him to the ancestral spirit of the Magi, you can activate the spirit. If he doesn't fuse with the Lord of 7 Stars, it'll be difficult to sacrifice him. That's because the profound mysteries of the stars are separated from the soul, and the power of the sacrifice will be weaker. Now that he's fused with the Lord of 7 Stars, the ancestral spirit of the Magi will reward you with something even better. Capturing the Lord of 7 Stars and sacrificing him isn't that easy. I can't even handle Fa Wuxian right now, let alone the Lord of 7 Stars, who's even stronger. Not to mention the Lord of 7 Stars, who's even stronger than him. Gu Snapping Sword was still a bit disappointed. My 3 Dragon Fortune pills, 3 peerless geniuses. I have to get them back from Bao Ming. The Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor has made his move. Crown Prince, it's best if you don't do anything to Bao Ming. First, she can give us information about the Calming Immortal Department. Second, we can use her to establish a good relationship with the Great Wei Dynasty. Then we can find an opportunity to devour the Empire. Third, we can use her to sell goods to the Great Wei Dynasty. Look, the Calming Immortal Department has been making a lot of money lately. Mr. Pylon was an expert in the art of economics. So what should we do next? If the Calming Immortal Department really does get the Lord of 7 Stars and the Lord of 5 Stars, their power will skyrocket. We'll be at a complete disadvantage, and they'll become a true superpower. Given time, they'll be able to stand toe-to-toe with the Celestial Designer Institution. Gu Tanjian was still very nervous. This time around, there's no other way. Look at the Calm Immortal Department. They even used their final trump card. That's the death immunity talisman of the heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor. That thing is practically invincible. There's no way to break it. Also, the heavenly talisman Immortal Emperor hasn't disappeared. He's only in seclusion. Mr. Cheese said, I reckon that the might of the death exemption talisman has given many aristocratic families a fright. Even the immortal Tao mystical sects don't dare to act recklessly. The heavenly talisman Great Emperor is still around, and we don't know when he will come out. Prince, you'd better be careful. Zhuge, the Lord of Seven Stars, made the right bet. He really is powerful. Gu Tanjian sighed, his eyes gloomy. If this person joins my side, I will definitely act according to my plan, devouring him and taking his seven-star profound meaning. No matter which force he joins, he will be in danger. Only by pledging allegiance to the tranquil immortal department will you receive assistance. Of course the Lord of Seven Stars can weigh the pros and cons, said Mr. Pyrolite helplessly. Our calculations aren't on the same level as his. It's true that his calculations are profound, but he also has a lot of enemies. A vicious smile appeared on Gu Tanjian's face. I actually want to pull him under my command. Let's test the waters first. Mr. Pyrolite licked his lips, his expression bloodthirsty. If the Lord of Seven Stars has appeared, then the Lord of the Sun and Moon won't be far behind. The Lord of the Sun and Moon is the Lord of all the stars. If we work together and sacrifice them, the ancestral shaman spirit will truly awaken and regain control of heaven and earth. The Lord of the Sun and Moon. Gu Tanjian was puzzled. The stars of heaven and earth are revered by the sun and moon. Throughout history, there have been reincarnations of the sun, and there have been reincarnations of the moon and moon. However, there has never been a case where the Lord of Seven Stars has appeared. But if the Lord of Seven Stars has appeared, then the Lord of the Sun and Moon will definitely appear as well. They're a pair. According to the legends, when the Lord of Seven Stars and the Lord of the Sun and Moon unite, a supreme existence will be born. Mr. Pyrolite seemed to see an opportunity. Inside the palace. In concubine Ming's palace, Wu Dangkong looked at Gu Chencha's strange phenomenon. Anger appeared on her face. She also knew that she had been tricked. Gu Taxian is still here. I can't act rashly. She tried her best to endure. I have the heavenly sacrificial talisman, and I will soon reach the highest level of cultivation. For now, endure, endure, and endure. At that moment, Gu Chansha, Lu Baiwei, and the others ferociously poured their connate energy into the Book of Heavenly Demon. At that moment, many of the restrictive spells within the Book of Heavenly Demon were blasted open. They were crushed by Li Wanlong's will, the palm of the Black Heaven-Earth sect leader, and the power of the Black Yellow Dragon Emperor. This was the effect that Gu Chansha and the others wanted. The combined power of these three great existences was enough to cause destructive damage to the various restrictive spells within the Book of Heavenly Demon. Moreover, the power of the Death Immunity Talisman surged into the Book of Heavenly Demon, suppressing the power of these three antiques. It broke open the Book of Heavenly Demon, and even broke the souls of many divine beasts. Dragon's Gate absorb. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwei worked together again. They circulated their own power and expanded the Dragon's Gate to its greatest extent, creating a vortex that seeped into the Book of Heavenly Demon, absorbing whatever was within. Rumble. Much of the pure power within the Book of Heavenly Demon surged into the Dragon's Gate. Gu Chansha and Lu Baiwei felt boundless. Majestic power filled the surroundings. The energy within the Book of Heavenly Demon was dissipating. There was Li Wanlong's, the Black Heaven-Earth sect leaders, the Black Yellow Dragon Emperors, and the power of many demon souls and the Death Immunity Talisman. This kind of high-level power was the most nourishing. Gu Chencha's Dragon's Gate was fused with the Buzhou Palace, and he needed this huge amount of energy to completely fuse them together. Lord of Seven Stars, complete fusion. At that moment, a huge aura appeared on Zhuge's body. With a shake of his body, his seven primordial spirits and the seven stars' profundity fused together, forming a golden core. This golden core was like a star in the sky, hanging high up in the sky. It gave off an ancient power that came from billions of years ago. Zhuge completely fused his soul and the 7 stars' profundity together, forming a golden core. He cultivated the 18 transformations of the Tao realm, the great Tao golden core. Then he pointed out with a finger, and a huge amount of star energy surged into the book of Heavenly Demon. At this moment, his cultivation was the strongest out of everyone present. One had to know that he was the Lord of 7 stars, and his talent was twice that of Fa Wuxian. What did it mean to cultivate the great Tao golden core? He was probably comparable to some of the old antiques. Jean Suebois, you've also completely absorbed the power of the 5 stars and become the Lord of 5 stars. Your cultivation is profound, so immediately help His Highness form the Dragon's Gate. Gather our strength, and today, while the Death Immunity Talisman's power is dissipating, we'll combine the Buzhou Palace with the Dragon's Gate and also fuse the Book of Heavenly Demon. The 3 treasures will become one, and it will become a treasure that can shake the world. With this treasure, we won't have to fear the old antiques attacks. This was also Zhuge's plan. Up until now, the Celestial Tranquility Department didn't have a single treasure that could stop the old antiques. Although the Buzhou Palace was also very powerful, it was best at creating treasures. As for the Dragon's Gate, Gu Qinsha had refined it, and it was still a bit lacking. If the 3 treasures combined, it really might be possible to refine a supreme treasure. Moreover, they all had the ability to do so. Zhuge himself had become the true Lord of 7 stars, and had cultivated the great Tao golden core. The Black Tortoise baby was between the 20 transformations. Zhuge also had this level of cultivation, and Lu Baiwei had also cultivated the great Tao golden core. Even an ordinary cultivator with this level of cultivation would be an important figure in the immortal Tao mystical schools. Moreover, all of them were world-shaking geniuses and natural-born saints. Vermilion bird, come out. Zhuge made another grasping motion, and a little red bird flew out of the Book of Heavenly Demon and perched on Gu Qinsha's shoulder. This was the vermilion bird that had hatched from the vermilion bird egg. As expected, the vermilion bird egg hatched. Zhuge sighed in admiration. This time, our Celestial Tranquility Department has truly reached its peak. We're no longer a small yamen and can stand up to the Celestial Designer Institute. Who would have thought that King Chun had cultivated the son of Heaven's God Seal Art? If it weren't for the Helios of Sun-Moon Dragons, the blood of the Sun-Moon Dragons, and the primordial spirits of the Sun-Moon Dragons, this dead vermilion bird egg wouldn't have hatched. Chapter 304. It seems the heavenly Taos have really changed. The celestial talisman, the Arch, is truly invincible. Even the Lord of Myriad Stars can't compare to him, much less the Lord of 7 stars. Zhuge understood what was going on. Jean Suebo's face was filled with shock. He was now the Lord of 5 stars and quickly understood what had happened to Gu Qinsha. However, since he knew this, it meant he had truly become the core of the Celestial Commerce Bureau. He was trusted by Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwei. The vermilion bird has hatched, and its bloodline has fused with King Chen's. King Chun now has the bloodline of the Sun-Moon Dragon, the vermilion bird's fire elemental bloodline, and the black tortoise's water elemental bloodline. Zhuge said, water and fire complement each other. King Chen's cultivation will be boundless in the future. Then let's refine the Sky Demon Tome. The Dragon Gate has almost fused with the Buzhou Palace. As long as we fuse the Sky Demon Tome, we'll have a cornerstone treasure. The Black Tortoise and Vermilion Bird can enter to cultivate and control the tome. We can even use the treasure to break through the void. Gu Qinsha urged his Yuan spirit into the Dragon Gate. At this time, the 6 existences activated their power and linked it together. Vermilion Bird and Black Tortoise, Lu Baiwei and Gu Qinsha, Jean Suebois and Zhuge. The 6 existences fused their powers together and sent them into the Dragon's Gate. The immense power from the depths of the Dragon's Gate poured into the depths of Buzhou Palace, causing it to squirm more and more intensely. Suddenly, it transformed into billions of runes. At that moment, the Dragon's Gate also transformed into runes. Countless runes fused together, and finally, it transformed into a runic vortex that frantically absorbed the Skyfae book's power. The Yuan Qi in the Sky Demon Tome was in a state of chaos. It happened to be absorbed by the runic vortex formed by the Dragon Gate and Buzhou Palace. Gradually, the Sky Demon Tome was also fused into the runic vortex. Under the power of the Death Immunity Talisman, the Sky Demon Book also began to melt, turning into runes. Countless runes turned into space, and each rune was a space. If not for Li Wanlong, the sect leader of the Black Heaven Earth sect, and the Black Yellow Dragon Emperor, the Sky Demon Book might not have been melted. Moreover, the Death Immunity Talisman was added into the mix. Zhuge and the others used all their strength to activate the rune whirlpool formed by Buzhou Palace and Dragon Gate. The combined power of the 6 experts was terrifying. Furthermore, the Buzhou Palace and the Dragon's Gate had absorbed the high-level energy in the Book of Heaven Demon. They had completely fused together and turned into a supreme treasure. This treasure itself was a supreme treasure. As long as one activated it with their primordial spirit, they could even activate the power of space within it. When the 6 experts activated the Buzhou Palace, the profound mysteries of the Buzhou Palace and the Dragon Gate could be unleashed to the fullest. The Buzhou Palace itself was used to balance energy and suppress vital energy. The Dragon Gate was used to absorb and spit out changes, operating endlessly. Gu Qinsha had always wanted to combine them, but it was a pity that he didn't succeed. Now, he finally did it. The 2 great magic treasures were perfectly combined and refined. Men the heavens, change heaven and earth. Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwa looked at one another. The common people, men the heaven technique, and the common people, men the heaven technique, merged together to mend the flaws of the heavenly Tao and change the fate of the heavenly Tao. They were in opposition, but they complemented one another. The foundations of these 2 great Taoist magics were the son of Heaven God Sealard and the Great Massacre God Magic. They were the 2 most powerful techniques in the world, and Gu Qinsha and Lu Baiwa had combined them into magical treasures. At this moment, the Dragon Gate and Buzhou Palace's runes swallowed large amounts of high-level energy and started to transform, forming brand new treasures. This treasure didn't look like the Dragon Gate or the Buzhou Palace. Instead, it looked like a ball. Black and white energy flowed within like chaos. It contained numerous changes, the birth and death of stars, and the changes of living beings. We have finally refined the Dragon Gate and Buzhou Palace into a brand new transcendent artifact. It is imbued with both our willpower. Lu Baiwa said, "What do you think we should call this new transcendent artifact?" We made a wish for all living beings in the world. If the heavenly Tao is lacking, common people will mend it. If the heavenly Tao falls, common people will change. Let's call this treasure common people's wish. The moment Gu Qinsha said this, it contained his own Tao and essence. The ball changed and gave off all sorts of light. What a good common people's wish. Zhuge bowed towards Gu Qinsha. King really cares about the world. Such ambition, the heavenly Tao can change it. Once this common people's wish is formed and fused into the Book of Heavenly Demon, the 6 of us will activate it. Even the old antiques won't be able to break it. We can protect ourselves. Gu Qinsha circulated the common people's wish sphere, wrapping it around the Book of Heavenly Demon, trying to fuse it. That day, he, the 4th, Lu Baiwa, and the baby black tortoise forcefully opened the Book of Heavenly Demon and were almost absorbed by the Heavenly Demon's black hole. Later, they were stopped by Aunt Hu. But today, their cultivation levels had increased a lot, and with Zhuge and Jin Suebua, the Book of Heavenly Demon had been broken by 3 sage-level experts. After breaking it, the power entered the Dragon Gate and Buzhou Palace, forming the common people's wish sphere. This sphere's mysteriousness far surpassed the original Dragon Gate and Buzhou Palace. The Life's Wish magic treasure was infused with the power of 3 saint-level experts, and the 2 magic treasures were forcibly fused together. Be it Li Wanlong, the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor, or the Black Heaven-Earth Sect Master, their power could easily open up the void, create divine nations, and create things with a flick of their fingers. Their realms were at the sage level, and they could be on par with ancient sages. They even surpassed some gods. The fusion of these 3 powers, coupled with the many shattered demon souls in the Book of Heavenly Demon, and even a power in the center that contained rich earth nomological laws. Gu Chansha, Lu Baiwe, Zhuge, and the others could sense that this earth nomological law belonged to the North Star Empire. The earth nomological law was in the center. Be it the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, or Black Tortoise, none of them existed. Only the demon progenitor, the North Star Empire, could grasp the earth nomological law. The earth nomological law represented a kind of bearing, a kind of vitality, a kind of reproduction, and a kind of benevolence. Absorb Book of Heavenly Demon. Everyone activated the power of their essence souls, causing the sphere of common people's wish to unleash even greater power. It was about to envelop the entire Book of Heavenly Demon. However, at this moment, a vast and unmoving aura erupted from the deepest part of the Book of Heavenly Demon. It completely resisted the suction of the sphere of common people's wish. This is the North Star Empire's will. Gu Chench's expression changed, and Zhuge also revealed a solemn expression. I didn't expect the North Star Empire's will to still be inside, resisting our refinement. Could it be that none of the 3 powers could completely open the core of the Book of Heavenly Demon? Lu Baiwe once again felt that her refinement of the Book of Heavenly Demon was obstructed. Buzz, an aura came from the Book of Heavenly Demon again, and a figure appeared. It was a woman with 9 tails behind her, blooming like a peacock spreading its tail. It was Anhu again. Everyone, you won't be able to refine the Book of Heavenly Demon. The North Star Empire's will is in the deepest part of the core, Anhu said. Anhu, Zhuge spoke up. You know the current situation. Do you really think the Imperial Court can't do anything about the Book of Heavenly Demon? The North Star Empire only has a bit of will and nomological laws in it. It's far from its former strength. He's already fallen, and it'll be extremely difficult for him to recover. Lord of 7 Stars, even if it's as you said, the North Star Empire is currently in a deep slumber, and it'll be difficult for him to recover. You want to take this book? That's the same as robbing us of our lives. How can we comply? I'd rather die in glory than live in dishonor. Anhu looked at Zhuge with fear. Zhuge was now the Lord of 7 Stars. He had completely fused with his primordial spirit, and his cultivation had reached the 18 transformation Great Tao Golden Core level. No one dared to look down on him. His cultivation speed was far faster than anyone could imagine. It wasn't strange for him to advance a level in just a few months. His future achievements would definitely not be inferior to the North Star Empire at its peak. In all of history, the Lord of 7 Stars had only appeared once. Afterwards, she assisted the Son of Heaven in suppressing the Divine Prefecture's #1 fiend. Afterwards, she disappeared without a trace. Now that she had been reborn, she carried with her an unparalleled, invincible destiny. Even Anhu instinctively feared her. We have to refine the Book of Heavenly Demon. Zhuge was extremely unyielding. However, you and the North Star Empire can rely on our calming immortal department. Doesn't the North Star Empire want to recover? Our calming immortal department can definitely help him. How can I trust you? Anhu retorted. As the Lord of 7 Stars, I relied on the calming immortal department and finally succeeded in fusing the mysteries of the 7 Stars with my primordial spirit. I became a true innate saint. The calming immortal department did everything in their power to help me and didn't plot against me at all. Our imperial court is righteous, and our laws govern the changes of heaven and earth. There's no need for your speculations. Zhuge brought up his own example. I said it's possible. As long as we become friends, the calming immortal department will accept you. Our strength can help the North Star Empire recover. You can also see our potential. In 8 or 10 years, you can guess how strong we'll be. You've also seen how powerful the Death Exemption Talisman is, and Grand Emperor Heavenly Talisman is still here. We have the support of a powerful force. Zhuge was filled with confidence. As he spoke, his words were filled with an unparalleled grandeur. That was inevitable. The Lord of Seven Stars was just that tyrannical. Fa Wuxian was an innate saint, and Zhuge Ye's talent was twice his. This level of tyranny didn't count for much. And who? There's nothing you can do to us right now. Gu Qinsha said, as long as you join us, you'll be a member of the Calming Immortal Department. The Imperial Court will protect you. And who looked at the lineup in front of her? The Vermilion Bird, the Black Tortoise, Gu Qinsha, Lu Baiwei, Jin Suebua, and Zhuge Ye. These existences were all invincible. It was difficult for any profound orthodox sect to produce a single one of them in thousands of years. Now, they were all gathered together. After a long time, Aunt Hu said, since that's the case, I have no choice but to join you. Then you and the North Star Empire will come out of the heavenly demon tome. We'll refine it. Zhuge Ye waved his hand. That's the only way to show your sincerity. The North Star Empire and I are only left with our consciousnesses. We need the heavenly demon tome's protection. Otherwise, our souls will scatter. If we had divine abilities, we would have left long ago. Why would we be at your mercy? Chapter 305. Gu Qinsha had long since known that Aunt Hu couldn't be trusted, which was why he hadn't agreed to any of her conditions. But now that Zhuge Ye had become the Lord of Seven Stars, he could completely suppress the nine-tailed fox. No matter how powerful Aunt Hu was, no matter how many schemes she had, it was impossible for her to plot against the Lord of Seven Stars. Your Excellency, the Lord of Seven Stars, your calculations are flawless. I trust you. Aunt Hu knew that relying on the Celestial Pacification Department would be beneficial. After all, Zhuge Ye was an example. Not only had the Lord of Seven Stars not spied on him, but he had even helped him fuse with the seven-star profundities. That was a testament to his righteousness and moral character. If he hadn't plotted against the Lord of Seven Stars, then the heavenly demon tome wasn't worth plotting against. However, you've resisted the Celestial Pacification Department on numerous occasions, Zhuge Ye said. Now you need to show some sincerity and help us refine the heavenly demon tome. Refine it into the sphere of common life's will and transform it into a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering magical treasure. I trust that you and the North Star will control a portion of the heavenly demon tome. As long as you don't cause trouble or resist and help us, you'll definitely succeed. With this treasure, we won't have to fear any attacks from the old-timers. What do you say? That's all we can do, sighed Aunt Hu. Don't act like you're on the losing end, said Gu Qinsha. His Majesty is in seclusion. Many people believe he's disappeared, but that's not the case. Is that right? If he comes out of seclusion and we offer the heavenly demon tome to him, you and the will of the North Star will be annihilated. All right, let's begin. Zhuge Ye waved his hand. We need to forge this magic treasure before the power of the immunity talisman disappears. Otherwise, once the power of the talisman disappears, we'll still have to face the old antiques attacks. He waved his hands again, sending boundless power into the heavenly demon tome. Aunt Hu fell silent. The power of the North Star vanished, and instead began to circulate within the tome. In an instant, the Sky Demon Book transformed into a rune and entered the interior of the Life's Wish sphere. Gu Qinsha immediately saw that the Sky Demon Book's runes were indeed divided into several layers. The outermost layer was formed by the Demon Soul Kingdom, and the innermost layer was a space that seemed to contain many treasures. And in the core space, there was an earthen yellow thing. It seemed to be formed from the law of Earth, the true meaning of Earth. Aunt Hu, there are many treasures in the Sky Demon Book. We don't want all of them from you. You have to show some sincerity and help us condense puppets. Lu Baiwei said, Qinsha, you now have 360 heaven-mending divine generals. This is the foundation. We have comprehended the common people mending the heavens and common people reforming the heavens, complementing each other and turning them into brand new divine generals. There are many treasures in the book of heavenly demons, and there are also many demonic souls. We can take this opportunity to refine all 360 heaven-mending divine generals into common people divine generals. Good idea. Mr. Zhuge can calculate for us. Guqinsha was overjoyed. Originally, his heaven-mending divine generals had all reached the Tao realm, 12 transformation, soul-snatching realm. Now that they were being refined, they merged with Lu Baiyue's will and merged with common people mending the heavens and common people reforming the heavens to become common people God generals. These common people God generals, along with the many treasures and demonic souls in the book of heavenly demons, would definitely be able to refine Tao realm 14 transformation primordial spirit, leaving body puppets. Once these puppets were refined successfully, it would be the same as having 360 talented primordial spirit leaving body realm experts. How long? Under Zhuge Ye's control, many treasures and materials flew out from within the book of heavenly demons. These materials were all scattered by the power of the 6 experts. Along with the power of the Buzhou Palace, all the material's essence energy was melted. As expected, within the common people's wish ball, the 360 heaven-mending divine generals scattered and turned into runes. They wriggled and numerous materials merged into them. There were also all sorts of souls and all sorts of powers. Zhuge's current cultivation was simply shocking. With a slight movement, numerous starlight injected into it and nearly turned into a physical form. The vermilion bird and black tortoise activated the fire and water laws, while Gu Chunsha and Lu Baiyue activated the secret techniques that they comprehended. Jin Suebua also used his full strength. There were indeed many treasures within the book of heavenly demons. There were some ancient items from the ancient desolate era. These items were all shattered and merged into the heaven-mending divine generals' bodies. Slowly, the 360 heaven-mending divine generals turned into brand new divine generals. All of them actually had 3 heads and 6 arms. They had a vertical eye at the center of their brows, and they held 3 pointed, double-edged blades, halberds, bows, arrows, blades, and swords. Several days passed. The 360 heaven-mending divine generals shook, and a powerful primordial spirit power was born from their heads. All of them became experts at the primordial spirit leaving body realm. At this moment, the book of heavenly demons had completely fused with the life's wish sphere. The orb of common people's wish had already expanded to a radius of tens of miles. It floated in the air above Gu Dusha's fief. Countless starlight shone down. The starlight had completely solidified. It was unknown how much energy had been infused into it. After another full month, the power of the death exemption talisman suddenly dissipated, and the energy barrier that covered the entire fief disappeared. In the instant that the barrier disappeared, many huge hands suddenly came from beyond the sky. However, the sphere of common people's wish that was dozens of miles wide suddenly squirmed and swallowed those huge hands. Next, the sphere rapidly expanded, once again transforming into a barrier of spatial fluctuations, enveloping the entire fief within a radius of several hundred. Li Guqinsha's group had finally fused the Dragon's Gate, Buzhou Palace, and the Book of Heavenly Demons together. They had also obtained many treasures and materials from the Book of Heavenly Demons, refining the heaven-mending divine generals into life divine generals. Everyone had benefited greatly. The combined power of several people, along with the Book of Heavenly Demons and the North Star Will, was enough to block the attacks of many of the old-timers. The North Star Will of the Book of Heavenly Demons was also extremely powerful. The Book of Heavenly Demons worked together with the Buzhou Palace, and their powerful energies complemented each other. In the blink of an eye, the Book of Heavenly Demons had devoured many of the old-timers' attacks and converted them into its own power. This was the full power of the Celestial Calmness Department. Everyone in the Celestial Calmness Department joined forces, and with the newly refined Life's Wish Sphere, they were able to protect themselves. After the first wave of attacks, nothing happened. No one attacked again. The Death Exemption Talisman had stalled for several months. Many of the old-timers knew that during this time, the Lord of Seven Star had already completely fused with her own power and would no longer be able to wrest away the mysteries of the Seven Stars. But that wasn't the main reason. The true reason was that the Death Exemption Talisman had unleashed its power. Now that Emperor Heavenly Talisman was fine, many of the old-timers didn't dare to attack again for fear that he would casually kill them. Emperor Heavenly Talisman could even suppress a sage with a flip of his hand. Sensing that there was no longer any threat from the old-timers, everyone in their fiefdom sighed in relief. Things had finally settled down. The tension that had been building up over the past few days had finally come to an end. Most of the major powers knew how powerful the Celestial Calmness Department was. The Celestial Calmness Department now had the Lord of Seven Star and the Lord of Five Star. It now had a world-shaking cornerstone treasure. Huff! Guqinsha looked up at the sun and let out a long sigh. Now that the Celestial Calmness Department has passed this tribulation, we can truly contend with the Heavenly Designer Institute. No one will ever look down on us again. Suebwa, it'll be much more convenient for you to traverse the path of immortals. Many thanks to the Minister and Mr. Zhuge for your support. Jean Suebwa knelt on one knee. If it weren't for the Minister and Mr. Zhuge, I wouldn't have become the Lord of Five Star. Also, without the Emperor's Death Exemption Talisman, even if I could refine the 5 stars, I would have died from countless tribulations. Jean Suebwa was right. Refining a 5-star profundity into one's nascent spirit would cause quite a commotion. Add to that the fact that he'd forcefully seized the profundity and fused it with all sorts of tribulations. But with the Death Exemption Talisman, both natural and man-made calamities would be spared. No tribulations would invade his body, unquenchable by 10,000 tribulations. If Emperor Heavenly Talisman said he could avoid death, then even the heavens couldn't do anything to him. Only now did Jean Suebwa realize the Celestial Talisman Emperor's power. No, it couldn't even be described as power. It was a supreme power that could distort all things. If I say you won't die, then you won't die. Jean Suebwa completely understood that following the Celestial Talisman Emperor was his only choice. King Chun, your life's wish has finally been refined. However, it still needs a long time to polish and refine. This treasure has completely fused with the Book of Heavenly Fae and Buzhou Palace. It has become a colossal object. Even with so many experts working together, we can only unleash a very small portion of its power. Zhuge sighed. Therefore, I'm afraid you can't bring this treasure with you in the future. There's no way you can activate it. Guqinsha circulated his primordial spirit, and sure enough, he discovered that although this newly refined sphere of common people's wish had a strong telepathic connection with him, he felt that his strength was too weak, and he was unable to keep this treasure with him. However, as long as he was in his fief, he could still use many of the treasure's abilities. In other words, he was now empty-handed and had lost a protective treasure. Everyone, let's work together to collect it, Zhuge said. Everyone hurriedly mobilized the power of their nascent spirits. The Life's Wish sphere in the sky suddenly shrank to the size of a house and fell into the crypt of the fief. None of us can activate this ball by ourselves. It can only be used to protect our land. However, with this ball guarding our land, no matter how powerful the ape tribe and the berserker tribe are, they won't be able to enter our land. Besides, if we train here for 1 year, we'll be able to resist them for several decades. Lu Baiyue could see that this newly refined treasure was really a mountain-guarding treasure. If he wanted to bring it around, he would have to increase his cultivation by several times. Chief, if you go out now, I'm afraid you won't have a treasure to protect you. That's not a good thing, Jean Suebwa said hurriedly. It's fine. I've relied on the dragon sect for a long time, causing my cultivation to lack some training. Actually, with my current cultivation, I can totally kill a Golden Dan Great Dao cultivator. Guqinsha didn't mind. Back then, with the Dragon Sect and Buzhou Palace combined, his strength was unparalleled. But now that he didn't have this treasure, he was no weakling. He had comprehended the life mend heaven technique and obtained the heavenly divine light to expand his sea of consciousness and nascent spirit. He had also merged with the profound meaning of the two stars of heaven's sin and earth's evil. His own cultivation was already earth-shattering. Now that he didn't have a treasure, he felt relaxed, as though he had removed some kind of burden. This feeling was like when the heaven-offering talisman flew away. Chapter 306. North Starwell is really strong. Since it occupies the core of the Heaven Monster Book, we can't do anything to it. Xuanwu Baby said, after all, it has exceeded the 4 beasts and is the ancestor of all monsters. That is just a matter of time. Lu Baiwa looked around. Xuanwu, now you have a partner. Vermilion Bird will play with you. The two of you are one fire and one water. Cultivating with each other will give you the best nourishment. Roar, 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 fun, fun. Xuanwu Baby went to play with Vermilion Bird. Vermilion Bird scoffed and flew up to stand on Xuanwu Baby's head. Xuanwu Baby tried to bite, but Vermilion Bird dodged it. The two beasts were having a lot of fun playing. Vermilion Bird and Xuanwu were water and fire opposites. If the two beasts crafted treasures, any material could be broken down and refined, especially metal ores. If Vermilion Bird and Xuanwu refined them, they could produce a metal essence that was even higher than metal essence. The so-called metal essence was equivalent to something close to the laws of metal. Guqinsha looked at the Vermilion Bird and Black Tortoise babies that were playing around and couldn't help but think, if I find the Azure Dragon baby, the White Tiger baby, and the North Star will, I will be able to gather all the 5 elemental laws. That way, it will be perfect for refining my common people heaven mending technique. Since ancient times, no one had gathered all 4 beasts in North Starwell. There's still many things we need to do next. During the past few months, we've been cultivating in this fief. There are many things that the Celestial Commerce Department had to deal with. Now we must do them. Zhuge, you said. Also, this Common People's Wish Ball needs us to constantly cultivate and familiarize ourselves with it. In the end, it will be made into our own, and we will be able to use it as we please. This matter has to be completed by the 2 ministers because the core will and Tao of Common People's Wish are the Common People's Heaven Mending Technique and the Common People's Heaven Reforming Technique. I will only assist from the side. We know that. Lu Baiwen nodded her head. The 360 Heaven Mending God Generals have turned into Common Life God Generals. All of them are talented and have reached Tao Realm Transformation 14. This is also thanks to the numerous monster souls and treasures in the Sky Monster Book. Mr. Zhuge just needs to help us raise their cultivation. With so many puppets, it will be extremely difficult to upgrade them, unless you have a large number of souls and mountains of heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Zhuge aside, according to my plan, if we cultivate for another 30 years and completely master the Common People's Wish Sphere with the power of the Celestial Tranquility Department, we would be able to catch up to the Black Gate of Heaven and Earth. I wonder if they will give us that kind of time. After fusing with the Buzhou Palace and the Book of Heavenly Fae, the Life's Wish Sphere had already become a supreme treasure. However, it was still a half-finished product. This was because the Book of Heavenly Fae had the North Star Will, Ant Who's Essence Soul, and even a few surviving ancient Fae souls hiding in the deepest depths. If they wanted to completely control the Common People's Wish Sphere, unless the North Star Will and Ant Who's Will left, it would still be a problem. This sphere had to be perfect and flawless. If they worked together, Zhuge estimated that it would take at least 30 years. For cultivators, 30 years was like the blink of an eye, fleeting like the clouds in the eye. But to the world, it was enough to change dynasties. However, to outsiders, these words were simply unbelievable. How long had the Celestial Tranquility Department been established? Just a few years. The Black Gate of Heaven and Earth had been established for tens of thousands of years. It had been established since the primordial era and had gone through many storms. Now that Zhuge said that in 30 years, the Celestial Tranquility Department would be on par with the Black Gate of heaven and earth, who would believe him? But thinking about it, it really wasn't impossible. As the Lord of Seven Stars, Zhuge, you could definitely cultivate to become a sage, and a sage king at that. As for the vermilion bird and the black tortoise, there was no need to even mention them. They were born extremely powerful, and with the passage of time, they would become something no one could compare to. Lu Baiwei and Gu Chencha's progress was even more rapid. Even Zhuge, you didn't know how far they would grow. Jin Suebua was already the Lord of 5 Stars and had half the talent to become a sage. In the future, if he was lucky enough, he would most likely become a saint-level expert. Such potential was extremely frightening. Zhuge knew how terrifying this was. To his enemies, the Celestial Tranquility Department would grow stronger with each passing day. If they wanted to deal with them, they had to eliminate them as soon as possible. Otherwise, there would be no end to their troubles. Now that the Death Exemption Talisman had been used, the Celestial Tranquility Department's greatest trump card was gone. The common people's wish sphere was only a half-finished product. Although it could withstand the attacks of some old antiques, it was far from enough to deal with a sage. If the Black Heaven Earth Sect Master, Li Wanlong, and the Black Yellow Dragon Emperor attacked again, the Celestial Tranquility Department would most likely be completely destroyed. Fortunately, the Death Exemption Talisman had resisted for several months. These sages also knew that the Celestial Talisman Emperor was still around and didn't dare to act rashly. One had to know that the Celestial Talisman Emperor was the most important government office of the Imperial Court. If it was destroyed, the Celestial Talisman Emperor could probably kill them at will. Let's cultivate again and consolidate our cultivation. Every bit of improvement counts. Gu Qinshan knew that his cultivation was the lowest among these people. He had to hurry up and improve again. At that moment, a starlight talisman suddenly descended from the distance. It was a transmission talisman from the castle. Lu Baiwei grabbed the talisman and understood. Marquis Calming Sea has come to visit us. There's something urgent. Not good. Zhuge Ye's eyebrows flashed fiercely. Marquis Calming Sea's most important task is to guard the bottomless sea of sin in the center of the divine prefecture. The last time the world shook, the seal on the bottomless sea of sin was broken. I read that in the past 2 years, demons have appeared. Now that he has come to see us, it's possible that something big has happened in the bottomless sea of sin, and he needs our help. His wisdom was profound and all-knowing, and he almost immediately deduced what was going on. Let's go see him together. Gu Qinsha didn't dare to slight Marquis Calming Sea. The 8 great marquises of the Imperial Court were the cornerstones of the Imperial Court. They were unfathomable. Each of them had been personally promoted by the Celestial Talisman Emperor. They were not ordinary people. Zhuge nodded and stood up with the others to meet Marquis Calming Sea in the living room. At this moment, in the depths of the Heavenly Craftsman Institution, a small world was opened by someone using a supreme divine power. In that small world, 2 old men were playing chess while the other was watching. Of the 2 people playing chess, one was the Heaven's Craft Institution's Ghost Axe, and the other was the Wu clan's current old ancestor, who had the highest seniority. Last time Ghost Axe had sent a letter to the Wu clan ancestor had sent Wu Dangkong to the Imperial Palace and made her Imperial concubine. As a result, the Wu clan ancestor had been granted 1,000 years of life. Crack! A chess piece fell into the eye of the chessboard. He had lost the entire game. The Wu clan ancestor put down the chess piece and frowned. Master Ghost Axe is truly formidable. I concede defeat. Old Wu, you must have been thinking about something else, causing you to be distracted. Otherwise, with your cultivation, you wouldn't necessarily be below me in calculating the chess game. Ghost Axe pointed at the void. Were you distracted by the matter of the calming immortal department? I didn't expect the Celestial Calmness Bureau to have the Lord of 7 Stars. At this moment, the Lord of 7 Stars is fused with her primordial spirit and become the true monarch of the stars. Her future achievements are limitless. Furthermore, the Celestial Calmness Bureau borrowed the power of the Death Exemption Talisman, fused with the Black Heaven Earth Gate's sect master, Li Wanlong, and the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor's attacks, and finally refined the Heavenly Demon Tome into a supreme treasure. The Celestial Calmness Bureau's momentum has been set. In time, your Celestial Craftsman institution will be suppressed, said the Wu clan ancestor. Old Wu, there's no need to sow discord. We old fellows have lived for so many years. What haven't we seen? Each generation has produced talented people, and they have dominated for hundreds of years. It's time to give way to the younger generation. The Divine Craftsman said, Old Wu, what we need to do now is to see how the younger generation changes the world. Don't interfere with anything else. His Majesty agrees. I'll just wait and see, said the Wu clan ancestor. The Wu clan ancestor said, but the Wu clan and the Celestial Craftsman Institution have a lot of cooperation, so I hope you two can support us. After all, Wu Dangkong is the imperial concubine bright chosen by His Majesty himself. If she comes into conflict with the Celestial Calmness Bureau, which side will the Celestial Craftsman Institution support? Old Wu, you've forgotten again. Of course we won't help either side. This is all His Majesty's plan. We'll just stay out of it and do business. Ghost Axe waved his hand. I advise you not to get involved, Old Wu. Otherwise, when a calamity comes, it will be difficult to continue. Calamity? The Wu clan ancestor was stunned. The death exemption talisman can be used. That means His Majesty is still alive. If His Majesty is still alive, what calamity can befall the world? That's not something you and I can know, said Ghost Axe. The three of us are actually no different from true gods, but we still can't comprehend the mysteries of heaven and earth. Fortunately, His Majesty is ahead, so we just need to follow. There's no need to think too much. Many thanks. I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave now. The Wu clan ancestor stood up. Take care. Ghost Axe and Divine Craftsman watched as the Wu clan ancestor tore through the void and left. They couldn't help but shake their heads. Old Craftsman, it seems to me that Old Wu is quite ambitious. He's already reached an agreement with some powerful entities. Ghost Axe frowned. He's obviously come here to probe us and see what we think of the Lord of 7 Stars of the Celestial Calmness Department. The Celestial Calmness Department relied on His Majesty's death exemption talisman to survive the calamity. Now that the Lord of 7 Stars has pledged allegiance to them, they'll be unstoppable. Many of the old fogies won't be able to hold themselves back. Divine Craftsman shook his head. Given our cultivation bases, if we get involved, it won't be easy for us to deal with the consequences. That's right, said Ghost Axe. The Lord of 7 Stars has enormous potential. His sudden appearance was accompanied by an enormous calamity. However, that calamity was neutralized by the death exemption talisman. In the end, though, the calamity will still fall on His Majesty's head. Is His Majesty afraid of a calamity like that? Divine Craftsman guessed. From ancient times until now, a saint's tribulation is a peerless calamity. However, His Majesty can neutralize it with the snap of a finger. Let's see if His Majesty can establish an unprecedented heavenly law. Chapter 307. Reaching the 30 transformations of the Tao realm is actually no different from a god, Shen Gong said. At the 36 transformations of the Tao realm, embodiment transformation can be called saint. However, at this level, it's basically impossible to improve unless you encounter a great change in the world. The two of us are only at the 31st and 32nd transformations, so it's difficult for us to step into the saint realm. The 3 celestial venerables stood out during the great change of the world during the primordial era. They grasped the impossible opportunity and broke the mysteries of the world, leaping out of the 3 realms and achieving the impossible. The Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor, Li Wanlong, and the Black Heaven Earth Sect Master are all unparalleled overlords. Who knows how many fortuitous encounters they've had in their lives. They also want to comprehend the supreme secret and jump out of the 3 realms, Ghost Axe said in deep thought. Apart from that Wen Hong is also someone who can definitely become a saint. Although Fa Wuxian is a junior, He's been trained by the school of legalism. In time, he'll probably be very difficult to deal with. There are many geniuses in the world. I'm afraid we'll really fall behind in the next few decades. That's not necessarily so pessimistic. We're still standing at the peak. As long as we find some fortuitous encounters, we might be able to turn the situation around. Ghost Axe and Godcraft, these two antiques, discussed with each other, their voices gradually becoming inaudible. The Black Heaven Earth sect. This was the strongest existence of the 72 mysterious gates of the immortal Tao that had been passed down from the primordial era. After tens of thousands of years, there had been many geniuses. Within the mysterious gate, there was an earth-shattering treasure, also known as the Black Heaven Earth sect. It was rumored that this sect was formed naturally. It was a treasure born from chaos before the heavens and earth had been created. It was filled with endless mysteries. With this sect suppressing fate, the Black Heaven Earth sect had existed for an eternity, almost never falling. At that moment, a middle-aged man sat on the steps in front of a huge stone door in the depths of the Black Heaven Earth sect. He wore an azure robe, and even his beard was azure. His eyes were dignified, and he seemed to control everything. One look was enough to tell that he was the supreme sect master. Within that gigantic stone door, boundless primal chaos energy flowed. Vaguely, one could make out a gigantic green dragon coiled within, breathing in and out vital energy. It was constantly changing as it absorbed the power of all sorts of dimensions and materialized many magical treasures. In addition, there were many powerful divine generals and heavenly soldiers in the depths of the stone gate, busy with something. Those divine generals and heavenly soldiers had extremely terrifying cultivation bases, each of them releasing a potential as vast as the mountains and as vast as the seas. How could the Black Heaven Earth sect's tens of thousands of years of accumulation be child's play? Disciple greets sect leader. Right at this moment, a young man walked in from outside. It was actually Jing Fanqing. When he arrived, he knelt on both knees and kowtowed deeply, performing the proper etiquette. Jing Fanqing, do you know your crimes? The sect leader's voice was indistinct and unfathomable. This disciple knows his mistake. Jing Fanqing knelt down and kowtowed repeatedly. What crime have you committed? The headmaster asked. Disciple was humiliated and captured alive by the Celestial Communist Department, causing the sect to lose face. It's an extraordinary humiliation, and even death is unable to atone for my crimes. The hatred in Jing Fanqing's tone simply shot through the sky and covered the stars. It's good that you know, as an outstanding disciple of our sect, you have cultivated to the golden core of the great Tao. You could be considered a core member of our sect. Our sect has been in charge of the immortal Tao for tens of thousands of years. Now that this kind of humiliation has spread throughout the immortal Tao, how can you still have the face to give orders? The sect leader asked, Let me ask you, how are you going to wash away this humiliation? Kill. First kill the people of the Celestial Communist Department, then kill the people of the Imperial Court, and then kill that Gutaxian. Jing Fanqing repeated the word kill several times, his willpower unshakable. Only with such willpower can you be considered a disciple of the Black Heaven Earth sect. However, given your current level of cultivation, going to the Celestial Communist Department is just suicide. Do you know the latest news about the Celestial Communist Department? Asked the sect leader. The Celestial Communist Department actually recruited the Lord of Seven Stars and helped him fuse with the profound mysteries of the Seven Stars. Even the sect leader intervened. Jing Fanqing was someone who had reached the golden core of the great Tao and was considered an outstanding talent in the immortal Tao. He knew much more than ordinary cultivators. When he mentioned the Lord of Seven Stars, his expression was filled with dread. Are you afraid? Asked the sect leader, taking in Jing Fanqing's emotions. Disciple isn't afraid. Jing Fanqing's hatred surged once more. Very good. The sect leader nodded. Your potential isn't limited to just this. You are an unparalleled genius. Logically speaking, mid-grade talent can become a grandmaster of martial arts, while high-grade talent can reach the 5th Tao transformation. Geniuses can reach the golden core of the great Tao at most. Unparalleled geniuses can reach the 27th transformation. If you can use all of your potential and cultivate painstakingly for hundreds of years, you can reach the 20th transformation. At that point, you aren't far from being a god. At that point, it won't be difficult for you to cause chaos. Right now, your cultivation base at the 18th transformation is just child's play. Disciple is willing to cultivate painstakingly, said Jing Fanxing hurriedly. Very well. Azure Dragon, shouted the sect leader. The enormous azure dragon poked its head out of the ancient stone door and stared coldly at Jing Fanxing. Then it opened its mouth, and in the blink of an eye, countless talismans entered Jing Fanxing's body. Jing Fanxing's sea of consciousness and dantian rapidly expanded. Crackling sounds could be heard throughout his body as he underwent yet another transformation. This is a Wood Emperor Divine Talisman that the Azure Dragon spent thousands of years refining. It can help you increase your cultivation base. After you absorb it, enter the Black Gate of Heaven and Earth to cultivate. The Black Gate of Heaven and Earth has the power to twist space and time. One day of cultivation is equivalent to several years of cultivation. But you must remember that even if you cultivate the golden core of the great Tao, you only have 1,000 years of lifespan. You can't cultivate for too long in the Black Gate of Heaven and Earth. Otherwise, your lifespan will run out and no one will be able to save you. The sect leader knew about the drawbacks. Yes, Jing Fanxing was delighted deep down. After you come out, your cultivation will reach the 21st transformation of the Tao realm, and your body will transform into the 5 elements. At that time, you will be able to do many things. But the most important thing for you now isn't to deal with the calm celestial department, but to get something from Wu Dankong. The sect leader spoke. Sect leader, please instruct me. Jing Fanxing didn't dare to get up and continued to kneel. Wu Dankong seems to have obtained a supreme treasure. Bring it here. The sect leader said. Yes. Jing Fanxing didn't dare to ask more. The sect leader waved his hand and teleported Jing Fanxing into the Black Gate of Heaven and Earth. The giant azure dragon's head didn't shrink back. Instead, it let out a buzzing sound. If my guess is correct, that Wu Dankong should have obtained the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman. This is the will of the heavens. If you want to take the talisman over, you will probably suffer the backlash of the Heavenly Tao. Azure Dragon, you are confused. Now that the Heavenly Tao is suppressed by Gu Taxian, there are variables. We can steal some things. The Heaven Sacrificial Talisman is the key to peek into the supreme Heavenly Tao. If we obtain it, we don't need to sacrifice it. I have a way to use it to help me break through and become an existence that surpasses the 3 celestial venerables. The sect leader spoke softly. Compared to the Heaven Sacrificial Talisman, I want the Go-Chun will in the book of Heavenly Demon. The Azure Dragon shrank his head back. Although this Jing Fanxing is an unparalleled genius, his eyes are blinded by hatred. His achievements won't be too high. Do we really need to waste resources to nurture him? He's just a pawn, the sect leader said. Only a pawn like him can get close to Wu Dankong and learn his secrets. Given our statuses, are we really going to rob him? The sect leader continued. Gu Taxian used a talisman to completely nullify our attacks, allowing the Lord of 7 Stars to ascend. From now on, those juniors will be able to turn heaven and earth upside down. Should we deal with those juniors? The Azure Dragon's voice came from the door. No need. We need someone else to make the first move. For example, Li Wanlong or the Black-Yellow Dragon Emperor. If we make a move on the juniors, we'll provoke the seniors. It's not a wise move, the sect leader said. However, that magical treasure of theirs is quite miraculous. The Book of Heavenly Demon, the Buzhou Palace, the Dragonization Pagoda, and countless other treasures combined to form a magical treasure. The Azure Dragon let out a buzzing sound. In the battle of the primordial era, the heavenly sect of heaven and earth has damaged some fundamental things. If you can obtain that magic treasure as compensation, you can recover to your peak state. At that time, you can also suppress the profound sect of the universe. The profound gate of the universe. The sect leader's eyes flickered with killing intent and coldness. Within Gu Chinch's fiefdom, in the guest hall, the entire guest hall had been constructed from special materials. It constantly glowed with starlight. Every inch of the ground and every inch of the walls was as exquisite as jade. It was as if a vast starry sky was sealed within the jade. In truth, the ground within 50 kilometers of Gu Chinch's castle had been transformed into this kind of starry jade. This was the result of the birth of the Lord of Seven Stars. Countless stars had descended to refine the earth and walls. Star jade was extremely precious among jade stones. It required an extremely high-quality jade stone that, over billions of years, would constantly absorb the power of the stars and nurture meridians within it. Only then could the image of a vast starry sky be formed within it. In the immortal Tao, a thumb-sized piece of starry jade could be exchanged for over 100 spirit-cleansing pills. The spirit-cleansing pill was a medicinal pill concocted by the profound gate of heaven and earth. It was refined using the essence of spirit herbs and spiritual energy. Just one pill could quickly restore one's Xiantian astral energy. In the immortal Tao, it was practically a hard currency. Gu Chansha had stolen quite a few spirit-cleansing pills from the chaotic, demonic ape temple. They were still stored in the storehouse. This place has truly become a holy land. Marquis Calming Si sipped his tea, then turned to Gu Chansha, Lu Baiwe, and Zhuge. The Lord of Seven Stars has appeared out of nowhere. It seems that the rise of the Celestial Pacification Department is unstoppable. This is a blessing for the Empire and a blessing for the common people. Marquis, you flatter me, said Zhuge, cupping his hands. This time, it was all thanks to the Emperor's strength, as well as the strength and karmic luck of the princes and princesses. In the future, I will definitely spare no effort until my death. Chapter 308. Is there something wrong with the bottomless sea of sin? Zhuge held the feather fan in his hand and said, the bottomless sea of sin is actually the place where the most ferocious man in the divine land fought against Gu Qianzi. He used his supreme skill to break through the endless void and summon the demons from the alien land. Logically speaking, I should go to the gap. But now we have just refined the magic weapon and lack manpower to suppress it. If we leave and the magic weapon is taken away, I'm afraid our foundation will be greatly damaged. Marquis Zhenhai cupped his hands and said, Master, you really have a good plan. I know why I came here. There is a big problem in the bottomless sea of sin. Because I have to guard the sea, it is difficult for me to take care of both sides, so I came to ask for your help. The current situation is very dangerous. Some of the gaps in the bottomless sea of sin have been filled with demons. If they rush out of the seal, the center will explode, and the whole divine land will be shaken. In addition, the Emperor is still in closed-door training, and people's hearts are uncertain. So I have to ask for your help. The current situation is that the barbarian tribe and the demon tribe are gathering near the fief. Lu Baiwe analyzed, they will attack at any time, so we can't leave easily. But we can also divide our strength. Why don't I go there? No. Gu Qinsha waved his hand and said, I'll go there. Our strength should not be too scattered now. The most important thing is that the common people's wish sphere must be guarded. Mr. Zhuge, Baiwe, Suebwa, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise don't move for the time being. Refining the sphere is the foundation and can't be shaken. My cultivation can also be tempered. Besides, when the demons appear, I can collect their souls and condense various magic weapons. This time I came here mainly to cooperate with you. I hope you can make a batch of weapons that can destroy evil. The power of stars is the best to destroy evil. If the soldiers can have an evil-destroying sword, it will be much easier to deal with the demons, Marquis Zhenhai said. That's easy. Zhuge suddenly made a grabbing motion, and an ordinary dark steel saber flew over from a warehouse in the distance. Then, with a spell, the power of the stars descended from the sky and gathered on the saber. The saber instantly became agile, and a vast starry sky seemed to be brewing within the saber. It was extremely beautiful and deep, and a tranquil and distant aura was emitted from the saber. The most annoying thing in the bottomless sea of sin is the devil chi. As long as the devil chi is inhaled into the human body, people will completely lose their minds. They will go crazy and attack the living. They will become the walking dead and demonized puppets. However, I will use the power of the stars to refine weapons and set up the evil and God-suppressing town on them. As long as they carry weapons, they can protect themselves from being eroded by the devil chi. He displayed a world-shaking divine ability. Don't worry, Marquis. My calming immortal department has taken control of Buzhou Palace and can already unleash all of its power. Creating weapons is nothing difficult. If that's the case, then I'm at ease. With the Lord of 7 Stars and such a treasure, they really can turn something rotten into something magical. Marquis Calming Sea was secretly shocked. Although his realm was higher than Zhugeya's, if they really fought, he was no match for this person. There's no time to lose. Marquis, I'll go with you to the bottomless sea of sin. Gu Qinsha stood up. Although he had helped Zhugeya get through the tribulation, in reality, he had also comprehended many things. After all, the divine demon book, Dragon Gate, and Buzhou Palace were all his treasures. The common people's wish sphere was also based on his Tao core. Ever since he had refined the profound meaning of the stars, his talent had increased again. His primordial spirit was full, and after several months of hard work, his treasures had transformed. He had almost comprehended more things from the common people heaven-mending technique. His cultivation was already ready to move. Soon, he would step into the 15 transformation of the Tao realm, the heavenly, eye-suspending realm. Right now, he needed to temper himself. That's good. Be careful. If there are any problems, contact us immediately. With our speed, we can head to Sin Province quickly and provide support. Lu Baiwa thought about it and could only agree. She also understood that the foundation of the entire calming celestial department was the common people's wish sphere. This treasure had to be protected at all times. Her cultivation was at the 18 transformation of the Tao realm, so was Zhugeya. Jean Suebwa was at the 20th transformation. The black tortoise baby was also at the 20th transformation. The vermilion bird had just hatched and wasn't strong, but it was at the 14th or 15th transformation. All of them combined their strength, along with the 360 common people's god generals, were barely able to activate the common people's wish sphere. If a few of them were missing, the treasure wouldn't be able to be activated at all. If it was taken away, all of the calming celestial department's savings would be gone, and they would lose 99% of their foundation. What the calming celestial department lacked the most was time. In another 8 to 10 years, Zhuge would definitely be able to cultivate to the 30th transformation of the Tao realm. He would be close to a god, and his combat strength would increase by more than 100 times. He wouldn't need to fear anyone anymore. The Lord of 7 Stars' cultivation speed was just that fast. In a bit, I'll send someone over to discuss the creation of weapons and armor with you. Marquis Calming Sea flew up. Gu Qinsha flew up as well. The two of them were as fast as lightning, and in just a few dozen breaths, they were thousands of miles away. Marquis Calming Sea's cultivation is so strong. He's actually reached the 21st transformation of the Tao realm, transforming into the 5 elements. As Gu Qinsha flew, he saw Marquis Calming Sea casually flash about. His body seemed to have the 5 elements circulating endlessly. From this, he knew that this person's cultivation was really high. The 21st transformation into the 5 elements, in essence, didn't belong to a human. It wasn't flesh and blood at all, but a strange kind of energy. Marquis Calming Sea clicked his tongue in wonder. Gu Qinsha's cultivation was only at the 14th transformation, but he was actually able to keep up with his speed. It wouldn't be strange if he used a Dharma treasure, but right now, Gu Qinsha was using his own strength. He didn't have any Dharma treasures at all. In truth, Gu Qinsha had already refined all of his Dharma treasures into the Dragon's Gate. Now, the Dragon's Gate Bujo Palace, and the Sky Demon Tome had transformed into the common people's wish sphere. He was completely clean, without a single Dharma treasure. In the past, when he used the Dragon's Gate, he could come and go without a trace. His speed was fleeting, and he could travel thousands of miles in an instant. Now that he'd lost the support of the Dragon's Gate's massive stellar energy, he could only use his own strength. Naturally, he was much slower. But this way, he could sense the profundities of some small tricks, such as how to conserve stellar energy while flying, how to adjust his primordial spirit, how to calculate the circulation of stellar energy, how to resonate with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and how to accumulate and transform power in the depths of his dantian. The 19th Prince's Gang Chi is really vigorous. I don't think the Gang Chi stored in other people's dantian sea of Chi and acupoints is even a tenth of his. Marquis Calming Sea secretly observed and came to a conclusion. Cultivators of the same realm, be it primordial spirit or stellar energy, were definitely far from Guchench's. His physical body was the sun-moon dragon body, comparable to a saint beast. Apart from that, he had undergone many baptisms and refinements. Although he wasn't as strong as Zhuge and Fa Wuxian, he was still a top-notch existence among the younger generation of Xiandao sect. However, he wasn't satisfied with such a situation. He wanted to go one step further and expand his sea of consciousness and energy, as well as all the acupoints in his body. Right now, the primordial spirit in his sea of consciousness was multitasking. After Zhuge became the Lord of 7 Stars, he would probably be able to multitask 1,000,000 times, or even millions of times. People of the same realm wouldn't be able to compare at all. The stronger the primordial spirit, the faster it could absorb spiritual energy, and the faster it could recover stellar energy. Primordial spirit was the foundation of everything. With Guchench's current strength, he didn't need to rely on any Dharma treasures to kill Dao Realm 18 Transformations Golden Core experts. In terms of primordial spirit, Marquis Calming Sea probably couldn't multitask 100 times. After flying for half a day, Marquis Calming Sea pointed at the mountains and rivers below. "Your Highness, we've arrived at Xin Province." Guchench's eyes had long since looked down. The entire Xin Province was faintly covered in a layer of gray. Even the sunlight was dim, and a heavy aura weighed down on everyone's hearts. In the center of Xin Province was a basin with a circumference of 3,000 miles. This basin had originally been an ocean, the bottomless sea of Xin. However, Heavenly Talisman Great Emperor had shaved off 1,000 mountains around it and stuffed them into the Sea of Xin to fill in the gap. This was the story of shaving off 1,000 mountains to fill in the Sea of Xin. But now, the 3,000-mile basin was filled with black gas. Demonic Qi constantly emerged, and it seemed that many holes had appeared. Gu Chansha looked over and found that in the crevices in the depths of the basin, there were some strange demons flickering. For example, there were demons with goat heads and scales all over their bodies. There were also blood-sucking demons that looked like giant bats. There were also ox demons that had the body of an ox but walked upright. These were all bloodthirsty monsters that lived in some alternate dimension. They had crawled out of the cracks. After Gu Chansha learned the great massacre god technique, he knew that the whole world had endless dimensions and different levels. Many dimensions had different attributes. For example, the spiritual energy realm was a flat world filled with pure spiritual qi. People couldn't enter it. In addition, there were some dimensions that gathered countless negative auras, which were demonic qi. They bred bloodthirsty, crazy, and chaotic creatures, which were demons. In history, there were even cases where demonic qi from some dimensions seeped into the spiritual energy realm. Then, when cultivators absorbed the spiritual qi and were contaminated by the demonic qi, they all became demons. This was a real catastrophe. Demons have indeed appeared. Gu Chansha wasn't worried. Instead, he was happy. "Your Highness, don't worry. These demons are just here to deliver food. I cultivate puppets and happen to need souls. These demons are exactly what I need. I know that your highness has mastered all kinds of secret techniques in the Book of Heavenly Demons. This book has magical effects on dealing with demons. Marquis calming sea descended. There must be a master here. Recently, the masters of the Great Wei dynasty have been active on the sea. I'm afraid they will attack the overseas countries, especially the Baoyu nation. I must personally stay on the sea. I hope your highness can control the situation in the Sea of Sin. The Great Wei dynasty really won't let go of the Baoyu nation. Gu Qinsha was shocked. The Baoyu nation had a deep relationship with him. He couldn't let the Great Wei dynasty have their way. Years ago, he captured Gu Hua and took his Jindan and magic weapon. It had been a long time, and this Gu Hua would definitely make a comeback. Chapter 309. The two of them landed. When they were in the sky, Gu Qinsha felt that some of the demonic energy in the air started to invade his consciousness after he inhaled it. Fortunately, since his consciousness rose to the 13th transformation, demon swallowing and ghost eating, there was a pure yang intent true fire that could refine all kinds of spiritual intents to strengthen himself. He just needed to use it slightly to refine the demonic energy. He wasn't afraid of the demonic energy, but that didn't mean that the soldiers weren't either. It was inevitable that the army guarding the border of Sin province would fall into the demonic path. Marquis Zhenhai had no choice, so he came to find Calming Xian. His cultivation was unfathomable, being at the 21st transformation of Dao realm. He was already an antique in Xuanzong celestial sect, but compared to Calming Xian, he was still weaker. A person at the 21st transformation could become a pillar of the court. Such a person was a barbarian emperor in the barbarian race and was rare in Xuanzong celestial sect. Many military fortresses were built around the bottomless sea of Sin, but the soldiers were slowly retreating to prevent being contaminated by the demonic energy. Some of the fortresses were empty. Only a small number of experts were left here. Gu Qinsha and Marquis Zhenhai landed on a main fortress. This fortress was built into a giant city. It was dozens of miles wide and was built with giant stones. There were many talismans carved on the giant stones that shone brightly. Some demonic energy was blocked by the light and couldn't get close to the city. There were thousands of soldiers stationed in the city, all of them wearing horned dragon armor. There were some talismans on the armor that could block the invasion of demonic energy. These were obviously done by Marquis Zhenhai. Greetings, Marquis. Just as Marquis Zhenhai landed, there were already a few experts waiting on the high platform on the city wall. This is King Chun. From now on, he will be leading you to suppress the demonic disaster. Marquis Zhenhai introduced. Marquis, these are my subordinates. Gu Qinsha looked over and noticed that there were 13 people here. 2 of them were actually at the 9th transformation of Dao Realm Glass Jade Body. They were all geniuses. As for the other 10, were at the 6th or 7th transformation while the rest were at the 4th or 5th transformation. This was not a small amount of power. Gu Qinsha was secretly shocked. Greetings, Marquis. The 13 experts were swift and decisive. They knelt down on one knee and shouted, "No need to be so polite. Get up." Gu Qinsha waved his hand. The most important thing now is to suppress the devil chi here and prevent it from leaking. As he spoke, he used the power of the 9 heaven stars. ZZZ, a sphere of dazzling starlight, descended from the sky. In the end, it turned into thousands of symbols, engraving themselves on the 13 experts' armors. Your Highness, Marquis, Marquis, Marquis. Your Highness, good move. Marquis Calming Sea praised, absorbing the power of the stars so quickly. I'll add another layer of defense to this city. Thousands of innate astral energies appeared above Gu Qinsha's head. These astral energies turned into a huge whirlpool, constantly absorbing the power of the stars. After a full hour, they suddenly dispersed, turning into a rain of stars that rained down on the entire battle fort. The chi, the star energy, were. The dragon star, the sea, when it re the clan were. Your Highness's methods are so exquisite, I am completely relieved. The Marquis of Calming Sea was very happy. There is an urgent military situation at sea. I can't stay here. Don't worry, Marquis. The safety of the nations on the sea and Bayou Nation will depend on Marquis. Gu Chunsha cupped his hands. Marquis Jinhai nodded. His body turned into a cloud of smoke and soared straight into the sky, disappearing in an instant. His speed was 10 times faster than when he came. Gu Chunsha nodded to himself. 21 transformations into the 5 elements was indeed powerful. Your Highness, what orders do you have for me? We will risk our lives for you. The leading general said again when he saw Marquis Calming Sea had left. Gu Chunsha asked, "What are your names?" "This general is Shimen Zhua, and this is my brother Shimen Yu." The two generals introduced the others one by one. Shimen clan is also a prestigious clan. It has been passed down for several thousand years. Since the two of you are willing to serve the imperial court, it can also be considered as serving the country and the people. Gu Chunsha said a few comforting words, then turned his gaze to the distance. This fortress was built on the edge of a cliff, and under the cliff was the bottomless sea of sin. The cliff was thousands of feet high, and there was basically no way to go down. Below the cliff was a vast plain of 3,000 miles. The plain was covered with weeds, which were as tall as a few people. They were densely packed, and no one knew how many monsters were hidden in them. The weeds were not ordinary plants. They were like swords, shaped like thatch leaves, and seemed to be highly poisonous. Obviously, they were spawned by devil chi, or they were plants derived from another world. If it were not for the cliff, many monsters would have rushed up and wandered around to kill and eat people. This was also a barrier created by the heavenly talisman Great Emperor. After filling and sealing the bottomless sea of sin, it was compressed into a huge basin. The basin had no exit, and it was surrounded by cliffs. It was a natural prison to prevent monsters from escaping. Of course, there were also monsters that could fly, but most of them could not. Your Highness, a few days ago, a few more seals broke, and the monsters became stronger. Some of them flew up and left, but they were killed by Lord Marquis. I don't know how many devils have gathered in the 3,000 miles of the basin. I'm afraid that one day they will suddenly erupt and drown us. The Shimen brothers looked down with solemn expressions. It's fine. Gu Chunsha waved his hand. The two of you follow me down. Yes. The two didn't hesitate. Whoosh. Without making a sound, Gu Chunsha's body fell down the cliff. The Shimen brothers immediately followed. In an instant, the three of them fell into the deep grassland below the cliff. The demonic grass that was several people tall emitted a fishy smell. It was like the rotting corpses in hell. The moment Gu Chunsha landed, he saw 7 or 8 goat horn monsters hiding in the grass. These goat horn monsters had goat heads and human bodies and were covered in scales. They were holding pitchforks made of unknown materials. The pitchforks were dripping with blood, and it was also stained with the blood of another kind of ox-headed monster. Fiend monsters were also fighting and killing each other. Gu Chunsha had read ancient records and knew that a large-scale attack by monsters had occurred during the era of martial emperors. There were many monsters, such as sheep-headed monsters, ox-headed monsters, hawk-headed monsters, bat-headed monsters. These monsters were all recorded in detail in the ancient records. The goat-headed monsters were really strong and had iron bones. They also knew how to cultivate and had martial techniques. Normal goat-headed monsters were similar to martial masters. They were at Mortal Realm Stage 3 and were really tough to deal with. Pung, 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 pung. Gu Chunsha flicked his fingers, and these goat-headed monsters were instantly controlled. They were like walking corpses as they laid in the grass and didn't move at all. This was the 12th transformation of Dao Realm, Soul Stealing. The Shimen brothers took a look and were really envious. They were at Dao Realm 9 transformation. They had to cultivate really hard before they could step into the 10th transformation, much less the 12th. Although the two of them were geniuses, their cultivation environment was far from that of the people under Gu Chunsha. In Gu Chunsha's land, in the depths of the Xuanwu Nest, they had numerous resources, pills, supreme cultivation techniques, and experts to teach them. This was not something that Marquesian high subordinates could compare to. What does King One do? Shiminzui asked. These monsters are the best crafting materials for me. I want to get rid of them once and for all. Gu Qinsha took out a fist-sized seed. This seed was as red as blood, and it looked like a heart that was wriggling. This is the seed of the blood-sucking demon vine? Shiminzui recognized it. It is a demon vine in the wilderness. When it grows, it can wrap around living beings and suck their blood. Does King want to use it to deal with these monsters? Unfortunately, although it sounds terrifying, that is only to normal martial artists. Its vines are easily sliced off. When the blood-sucking demon vine grew, it was like a tree. The vines were like arms that wrapped around living beings. Even martial masters wouldn't be able to escape. But as long as one stepped into Dao realm, one would be able to deal with the vines. The blood-sucking demon vine seed was a spiritual herb and was really valuable. But it was useless against demons. This is the seed of the blood-sucking demon vine. I specially brought it over. Gu Qinsha buried the seed in the ground and then activated his body's energy. The seed suddenly sprouted and grew into a small sapling. The vines were like long whips. They suddenly stabbed into the bodies of the few sheephead monsters. Gulong, gulong. A sound like that of a cow drinking water spread out. In just a short while, the vines sucked the few sheephead monsters dry. The souls of these few sheephead monsters are gone. This blood-sucking demon vine? The two Shimin brothers were shocked to discover that the blood-sucking demon vine seemed different. It could actually absorb souls. I used the sky demon mystic technique to refine the blood-sucking demon vine seed. It can evolve into a 7-color demon vine, and one step further would be the ghostly god touch, and one step further would be the sky demon tree. With so many monsters as fertilizer, along with my sky demon mystic technique and the supreme Tao of the stars, it will definitely become a sapling of the sky demon tree. Once the tree is formed, it will be able to continuously absorb demonic energy and monsters to grow on its own. Moreover, the sky demon tree will bear many fruits. Those fruits can nourish essence energy and can even form all sorts of demon soldiers and demon generals. Gu Qinsha naturally came prepared. He didn't have any Dharma treasures on him and was about to refine one. Thus, he thought of the sky demon tree in the Book of Sky Demon. The Book of Sky Demon had many methods to refine Dharma treasures, but it was very difficult. Some even involved the transformation of space. Furthermore, any Dharma treasure had to be refined over a long period of time. Some Dharma treasures even required dozens of generations of a sect to refine for thousands of years. Gu Qinsha's Dragon Gate was opportunistic. He had fused many Dharma treasures together, coupled with the power of the Son of Heaven's God Bestowment Art and the Great Massacre God Art, as well as the power of the heavenly Tao of the Sacrificial Talisman. Even so, now that it had condensed into the common people's wish sphere, it would require a long period of tempering. Finally, it could be called a true Dharma treasure. Otherwise, it would just be miscellaneous items pieced together from many Dharma treasures. As for the sky demon tree, it was relatively easy to refine. It was something that could grow on its own, but refining it required a large amount of souls and blood. It was too harmful to the harmony of the heavens. In ancient times, a great demon had sacrificed countless lives to refine this tree. In the end, people from the righteous Tao came to slay the demon. However, now that Gu Qinsha was using these monsters to feed the tree, there were no obstacles. The refinement method of the sky demon tree had long been lost. Furthermore, the first step was rather difficult. First, one had to find a blood-sucking demon vine seed and use a mystic technique to activate it, changing its structure and life essence to refine it into a sky demon tree. Chapter 310. These 7 or 8 goat-headed fiends had vigorous blood essence and powerful souls. Each of them was equivalent to the 3rd level of the mortal realm, martial arts masters. Fiends were also intelligent creatures. but they were bloodthirsty and murderous. The demonic chi on their bodies corroded their brains, causing them to be rather chaotic. Rumor had it that they were a type of low-level fiend in hell. Hell was a general term for the dimensions filled with demonic chi. The creatures inside would be corroded by demonic chi and grow into ugly and brutal fiends that loved to destroy everything. Sometimes, due to some special changes in heaven and earth, a passage would appear between these dimensions and the main dimension of the land of infinity. The fiends inside would then come to the land of infinity. In ancient times, there was a great war between the gods, and many passageways were broken through. The fiends descended and caused a lot of trouble. Later on, rumor had it that an invincible expert suppressed those demonic chi dimensions and was conferred the title of King of Hell by the ancient emperor. This expert was now called God Maha. Gu Chencha's subordinate, Yiming, was one of the emissaries of the temple of Maha. He had also learned the methods of the Maha suppression scripture. God Maha was the king of hell and the king of the evil gods. Rumor had it that he was also the strongest existence among the righteous and evil gods. He was now in charge of many dimensions filled with demonic chi, which were also the various hells. However, this god was sealed by the heavenly talisman emperor. The Maha suppression scripture also recorded many vicious demonic arts and the characteristics of the various fiends in hell. Of course, Yiming's Maha suppression scripture was only a small part of it. The real demonic scripture was as vast as the sea. Although it wasn't as good as the heavenly talisman tome, it wasn't something that one or two books could contain. Gu Chencha was proficient in the immortal Tao, demon Tao, fiend Tao, divine Tao, and various secret arts. Naturally, it was a piece of cake for him to deal with demonic chi and fiends. The seal of the bottomless sea of sin broke, and many fiends appeared. Gu Chencha took this opportunity to cultivate. The vampiric devil vine grew from the ground and grew into a sapling that was half the height of a person. It was blood-colored and had 7 tentacles that constantly swayed. It looked demonic and bloody. Gu Chencha circulated his astral energy and poured it into the demonic vine. He suddenly circulated the sky demon's secret art, and his astral energy turned into many runes that transformed into demonic chi that helped the demonic vine digest the sheep-headed devil monster's essence, blood, and soul. The vampiric demon vines were not omnipotent in the beginning. Even an ancient vampiric demon vine that had lived for hundreds of years would need several months to digest after absorbing so much blood. It would not be able to absorb any more blood. Moreover, the most important thing was not to digest the blood essence, but to refine the soul. This required Gu Chencha's assistance. The growth of the heavenly demon tree was also a process of refining Dharma treasures. Although Gu Chencha's supernatural power was strong, and although his mana was high, he couldn't achieve it in one go. He needed the patience and effort of dripping water to wear through a stone. He wanted to use the blood essence and soul absorbed by the vampiric demon vine to fuse with the sky demon mystic technique to change the life essence of the vampiric demon vine and make it evolve even more powerful. After activating it, the vampiric demon vine twisted and many weird eyes appeared on the small tree trunk. There were so many of them that it sent a chill down one's spine. Good. The first step is almost done. Refine the demon eyes of the vampiric demon vine. In the Sky Demon book, even a monster above Tao realm transformation 20 would need dozens of years of hard work to complete the first step. I completed it so quickly. It seems like the sun-moon dragon energy is the most mystical catalyst energy. Gu Chencha was delighted. When the two brothers saw the changes in the vampiric demon vine, their expressions changed. King, what do you need us to do? The two of you capture more monsters, but don't alert them. Gu Chencha said, the vampiric demon vine has already mutated, but I need to refine it. It will consume a lot of Xiantian earth energy, and I will need to be fully focused. More importantly, the vampiric demon vine is still very weak and can be easily destroyed, so I have to take good care of it. Once I succeed and the vampiric demon vine turns into the sky demon tree, It will be able to cover hundreds of miles of land and kill any monsters. It will absorb their souls and flesh and turn them into nutrients. It can even bear all sorts of fruit trees. When that happens, the invincible sea of sin won't be a hidden danger, but a blessed land. Guqinsha was right. If the sky demon tree was truly refined, it could absorb souls and flesh and form all sorts of fruits. It could even form treasures, living beings, and puppets. The theory behind the sky demon tree was similar to the Bujo Palace. At the end, it could even become a giant treasure manufacturing factory. However, the difference between the sky demon tree and the Bujo Palace was that the sky demon tree absorbed flesh and souls, while the Bujo Palace could absorb star energy and all sorts of essence energy. In fact, whether it was the sky demon tree or the Bujo Palace, all the methods of refining treasures in the world originated from the Hongmeng tree. The Hongmeng tree was a giant tree that grew in the depths of the endless void. It was also known as the world tree. Rumor had it that this tree had infinite power. Many worlds were formed from the tree. Then, the world was like a fruit. After it ripened, it would leave the Hongmeng tree and drift in the endless void, becoming an independent world. Many multidimensional worlds were formed from the Hongmeng tree. Rumor had it that during the primordial era, there were powerful sages who had plucked treasures from the Hongmeng tree. Those treasures were called Khanate cardinal treasures. The Hongmeng tree was unimaginably huge. Guqinsha knew that the heavenly talisman emperor had once plucked a fruit from the Hongmeng tree to lure the legalists. However, in the end, the legalists didn't help Fa Wuxian wipe out the Temple of Mo. In the past, the 7 sages had worked together to pluck a fruit from the Hongmeng tree and refined it into a few elixirs. The sages were seriously injured. Some of the characteristics of the heavenly demon tree's refinement were actually the refinement method that many sages of the primordial era had comprehended after observing the mysteries of the Hongmeng tree. Guqinsha hadn't seen the Hongmeng tree before. With his abilities, he was far from being able to shatter the void and travel freely between dimensions. If I nurture this heavenly demon tree, it will become a pretty good Dharma treasure. Furthermore, with the nourishment of my sun and moon dragon aura, it will be even more exquisite than what the sages of the primordial era nurtured. I can resolve the demon disaster and obtain a pretty good Dharma treasure at the same time. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Guqinsha pondered. Without the Dragon's Gate, he could rely on his Khanate stellar energy to survive. However, the refinement of the heavenly demon tree consumed a lot of stellar energy and essence spirit. Therefore, he wanted the Sheman brothers to capture more sheep-headed monsters for the tree to absorb. And he was the catalyst for the tree. Otherwise, with the digestive ability of the tree, it would be difficult for it to grow without hundreds of years. Luckily, after the tree evolved and absorbed flesh, blood, and souls, it could form pure fruits to nourish Guqinsha's essence chi. This tree started out as a blood-sucking demon vine. According to the refinement method in the Book of Heavenly Demon, the first step was to evolve into a 7-colored demon vine. When it reached this stage, after absorbing flesh, blood, and souls, it could form a 7-colored essence fruit. Color was the meaning of the world of colors. 7 colors referred to the 7 colors of a person's body: soul, spirit, essence, power, energy, spirit, and intent. The 7-colored essence fruit could replenish these 7 colors, and its effects were comparable to many pills and medicines. Guqinsha first had to turn the blood-sucking demon vine into the 7-colored demon vine to kill the monsters and produce the 7-colored essence fruit to replenish his earth energy. He didn't have the Dragon's Gate to replenish his energy, so it was quite tiring. So. The Sheman brothers' cultivation was also very strong. They had cultivated the Tao Realm 9 Transformations glass J-body and were the top figures under Marquis Calming Sea. They had slaughtered and fought, and their rich experience even surpassed Guqinsha's. They silently shuttled through the demonic herbs, and in a short while, they each captured hundreds of goat horn monsters. Among them, a few of the goat horn monsters were surging with vital energy, and they were actually at the level of mortal realm martial masters. And these few goat horn monsters' horns were a faint red color. Goat horn monsters also had different grades. Ordinary monsters' horns were grayish-black, and the higher grades were faint red, and the higher grades were pure red, then purple, gold, and glass. Glass-colored goat horn monsters were equivalent to people with the Tao Realm 9 Transformations glass jade body. If they appeared in the land of infinity, it would be a huge disaster for the commoners. Very good. When Gu Chansha saw the hundreds of goat horn monsters being silently swept over by the Shiman brothers' Xiantian earth energy, he nodded and activated the blood-sucking demon vine again. The demon vine's tentacles pierced into the thick scales and started to suck blood and souls. As for Gu Chansha, he used his secret art and used it as the center to build a huge formation that was about an acre above the ground. In a short while, the hundreds of goat horn monsters were sucked clean, and the residue was swallowed by the formation on the ground as nourishment. Your Highness, these goat horn monsters are demons, and they have a lot of demonic energy in them. Will there be any side effects after absorbing them like this? Shimanzui asked. No, demonic energy is actually a type of essence energy, but it's extremely violent and chaotic. It's the yin energy and negative energy of heaven and earth, but it's also a rather good nourishment. I used the heavenly demon fiend refinement art to turn evil into good. Actually, that's the way of nature. For example, if stinky dung is watered in a paddy field, it can produce fragrant and sweet rice. But if the rice is eaten by humans, it will turn into dung. Gu Chansha said, "This is the conversion of yin and yang, the conversion of good and evil." After absorbing the hundreds of goat horn monsters, the blood-sucking demon vine grew a little taller. It was as tall as a person, and its tentacles also grew. There were many dense spikes on the tentacles, and when they moved slightly, it gave one a feeling of immense strength. The tentacles are so sharp, and I suspect that they can pierce through several layers of armor. The scales of the goat horn monsters are similar to armor, and they are tough to destroy. Shiman Yu said, "I feel that even Tao Realm 2 transformations might not be able to beat this tree." Chapter 3:11. Calm. In the depths of the demon grass, there was another roar as a group of minotaurs appeared. The sheephead monsters in hell were of a lower grade, while the minotaurs were of a higher grade. The minotaurs were also really strong. The minotaurs and horse faces of hell were still deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Legend had it that the barbaric bull was born from a hybrid between the minotaurs and a type of beast. There were hundreds of minotaurs in this group, and they seemed like an army. The minotaurs at the front had bright red horns, and their thick hide had actually formed a demonic totem. The totem was like a formation that could absorb demonic energy to increase its strength. An ox-headed demon monster that had cultivated a demonic patterned totem on its body was equivalent to an expert of the human Tao realm who was willing to abstain from eating. This was a demonic cultivation technique of hell. Gu Chansha actually knew it too. When he was at the Martial Path Grandmaster realm, he would activate his meridians and form a formation to absorb heaven and earth spiritual energy. After he succeeded, he would step into Tao realm. Celestial Tao cultivation was to use one's will to comprehend the barrier between heaven and earth. One would cause one's life magnetic field to shake and resonate with heaven and earth to open a thin tunnel to absorb spiritual energy into one's body. Both the Celestial Tao and Demon Tao had their own mysteries. Gu Chansha comprehended both and merged them into one to form the common people heaven mending technique. Good fellow, it came to me on its own. Gu Chansha activated the blood-sucking demon vine. The vampiric vines had absorbed the essence and blood of hundreds of sheep-headed monsters, and their souls were condensed by Gu Chansha. It was already very mysterious. With Gu Chansha's cultivation base and the power of creation of the sun and moon dragon aura, even ordinary iron could be turned into a flying sword in an instant, not to mention the vampiric vines, which originally had intelligence. The blood-sucking demon vine's attack strength was really abnormal, and it could kill Dao realm experts. So. The vine's branches stretched out and stabbed into the bodies of dozens of minotaurs. It pulled them back, and when they fell to the ground, they were already dried-up corpses. Blood pool condense. Gu Qinsha controlled the blood-sucking devil vines to kill the ox-headed devil beast. Then, he used his secret art again and refined the soil with his gang qi, turning it into a pool of blood that was a few acres wide and several meters deep. The essence blood absorbed by the vampiric vines was hard to digest, so it could be stored in the blood pool. Moreover, those souls could also float in the blood pool, fermenting, and finally provide nutrients for the vampiric demon vines. This was a blatant fiendish demon secret technique. Roar. The leader of the ox-headed devil beast discovered some clues and led his team to charge over. But the Shemin brothers immediately took action. Their innate astral chi turned into gossamer threads and formed a huge net that trapped all the ox-headed devil beasts. This astral net technique is quite refined. The two of you should be close to mastering the 10 transformations, 1,000 tasks at one heart, right? Gu Qinsha asked. Your Highness has a keen eye, Shiminzwa hurriedly replied. But these fiends have dense, fiendish qi. When we circulate our innate astral qi, it is inevitable that our innate astral qi will be contaminated by the fiendish qi. When we retract our innate astral qi back into our body, the fiendish qi will enter our body and it will be hard to resolve it. This is also the reason why fiends are hard to deal with. The fiendish qi will contaminate our innate astral qi. It's fine. I will immediately set up the heavenly cycle stellar immortal fiend refining talisman in the depths of your Dantian's qi sea. The fiendish qi will be unable to invade you. Gu Qinsha flicked his finger, and starlight coalesced into a talisman, which flew into the bodies of the two of them. The talisman floated up and down in their Dantian's sea of qi. After that, he sent his will into the talisman. The power of the stars was best at destroying evil and devils. Be it the Book of Heavenly Demons' ancient astrology art, Buzhou Palace's Tao of Buzhou, or Grand Preceptor Wenhong's myriad star-flying immortal art, they all had the effect of destroying devils and suppressing gods. What Gu Qinsha imparted to the Shemin brothers was a star devil extermination mystic art. It was no small matter. The two hurriedly knelt down in joy. Gu Qinsha had them get up. He pointed again and activated the vines, absorbing all the minotaurs in the astral chi net. After absorbing so many fiends' essence, blood, and souls, the blood in the blood pool began to boil and condense into blood relics. The roots of the vampiric demon rattan became more and more developed. The heavenly demon tree's weakness was that it was difficult to move. The ancient demons usually planted it in their cave abodes to protect the entire cave abode. Gu Qinsha's main purpose in refining this tree was to kill countless fiends and completely condense the tree to cover the boundless sea of sin. In addition, he hoped to condense the heavenly demon sacred fruit from the tree. This fruit was the best thing that the heavenly demon tree could condense. Once it was condensed, it could expand one's Dantian's qi sea and sea of consciousness by swallowing it. Not only that, it could also greatly strengthen one's essence spirit. The benefits were unimaginable. Of course, this was in the future. It wasn't easy to evolve the vampiric demon rattan into a heavenly demon tree. After killing this group of minotaurs, Gu Qinsha silently used a secret method to recover his astral qi and essence spirit. He had to maintain himself to his peak at all times. He couldn't use up a lot of astral qi just to condense the vampiric demon rattan. The fiends here weren't just low-level existences like the sheep-headed monster and the minotaurs. Maybe some seals in the sea of sin would break, and supreme heavenly demons would appear. At that time, if his astral qi couldn't support it, he would probably die without a burial. Just like that, Gu Qinsha and the Shemin brothers set up camp in the grassland on the edge of the cliff. Gu Qinsha continued to condense the vampiric demon rattan, while the Shemin brothers cultivated and captured fiends to feed the vampiric demon rattan. After a full 2 months, Gu Qinsha had been cultivating here. The vampiric demon rattan had devoured at least tens of thousands of fiends' blood and souls. His cultivation base had also been tempered to an extremely pure level. The Shaman brothers were almost about to break through the 10 changes of Tao Realm. They were extremely careful when capturing fiends so as not to disturb the devils in the depths. However, after capturing so many devils in the past 2 months, the fiends in the 3,000 miles grassland of the bottomless sea of sin didn't decrease but increased. It's really inconvenient without the Dragon Gate. Gu Qinsha stopped and silently used his essence spirit again to restore his sea of consciousness and Dantian sea of qi. He restored his energy to the peak. If he had the Dragon Gate, he wouldn't be short of astral qi. Moreover, the Dragon Gate was good at swallowing everything. With the cooperation of the Buzhou Palace, they could refine magic weapons in an instant. If he had the Dragon Gate at this time, Gu Qinsha only needed to throw the vampiric demon rattan seed into the Buzhou Palace and then slaughter here. With his cultivation and the magic of the Dragon Gate, he could kill hundreds of thousands of fiends in a day and swallow them all. With the help of the 2 treasures, he could refine the vampiric demon rattan into 7-color demon rattan in a few days. However, Gu Qinsha didn't rely on any magic weapons. He cultivated by himself and controlled it carefully. Instead, he tempered his cultivation to a subtle realm. Although he didn't improve his realm in the past 2 months, his control of his essence spirit and innate astral qi had completely changed. His understanding of heaven and earth was almost about to solve some mysteries. Strange. These days, Gu Qinsha didn't get the divine light of the heavenly law like last time. Is it because Wu Dangkong didn't offer a sacrifice? Or only by offering a sacrifice to the divine light of the heavenly law can he share half of it with me? He was a little confused. However, Wu Dangkong practiced a secret skill and prepared many creatures. It was possible that he was going to carry out a big sacrifice, so it was reasonable that he didn't use a small sacrifice. There are so many fiends here. I don't know if Wu Dangkong will come here to hunt fiends. Gu Qinsha also guessed that fiends were the best sacrifices. However, he didn't care so much. Rainbow Demon Vine, evolve. After 2 months of accumulation, he finally refined the vampiric demon vine to perfection. As he made a hand seal, the vampiric demon vine suddenly released a rainbow light. Then, it turned into a rainbow treasure tree. This rainbow treasure tree was like colored glass. It was as tall as 3 people and deeply rooted in the ground. The moment it advanced, it completely absorbed the blood pool that was rooted in the ground. On the branches of this treasure tree, there were hundreds of rainbow fruits the size of a finger. They looked like elixirs. Great! Gu Qinsha was overjoyed. I finally refined the vampiric demon vine into a rainbow demon vine. From now on, I don't have to worry about the lack of innate astral qi and essence spirit. This rainbow origin fruit can quickly replenish innate astral qi and essence spirit and nourish the body. With a wave of his hand, he plucked all the fruits and put them in his pocket. At the same time, he took out dozens of fruits and gave them to the Shaman brothers. How pitiful. I don't have Dragon Gate and Buzhou Palace anymore. I don't even have a spatial magic weapon. I still need a pocket to store these fruits. Gu Qinsha wanted a spatial treasure. However, spatial treasures were so precious. One had to be at Tao Realm Transformation 30 and be able to open up a grotto heaven to craft one. Such a thing could be called a god artifact. Even in Jingxian Division, only Lu Baiyue had a bracelet. Originally, Gu Qinsha had a few more which emerged into the common people's wish ball. Now, his body was really clean. This rainbow origin fruit was a top-grade recovery pill. It was only slightly weaker than the Xianwang Dragon Emperor's Xianwang pill. With Gu Qinsha's current energy ocean and consciousness ocean, he just needed 1 Xianwang pill to fill them up. As for the rainbow origin fruit, he needed 3 to fill up Gu Qinsha's consciousness and energy ocean. Now, he had close to 300 rainbow origin fruits, which could allow him to recover 100 times. Immediately, his confidence rose. Once the rainbow demon vine is refined, it will be much more convenient. I don't need to worry about exhausting my Sciention earth energy and primordial spirit power. Gu Qinsha had been waiting for this moment. It is time to speed up the killing. With large amounts of rainbow origin fruits to replenish his energy, Gu Qinsha had the Dragon Gate's essence chi. He didn't need to worry about exhausting it. Then, he would be able to use strong spells. Sciention earth energy, search heaven and earth. Tens of thousands of earth energy threads appeared on his body. They spread out in all directions and stretched out 100 miles. Instantly, thousands of monsters were swept back. These monsters included bat demons, cow heads, goat heads, horse heads, and even flaming monsters. Chapter 3:12. Apart from that, there was also the Nether Armor Demon. The dark-armored Great Demon was no different from a human. Its entire body was wrapped in a shell. The dark golden shell was grown by itself, and the interior was similar to a human body. The nether-armored Great Demon looked like a human wrapped in horned dragon armor. However, the nether-armored Great Demon also had wings on its back that allowed it to fly. The Nether Armor Demon was the commander of the demon army. Each one of them was so strong that even a Dao Realm 3rd or 4th transformation expert wouldn't be able to deal with them. One Nether Armor Demon commanded many sheep-head monsters, mountain-head monsters, horse-head monsters, bat-head monsters, and even blazing monsters. Moreover, the Nether Armor Demon's natural armor was actually a good material for crafting armor. If Gu Qinsha were to forge a Nether Armor Great Devil, he would definitely be able to forge a suit of armor that could rival the Great Dragon armor. Gu Qinsha's cultivation was shocking, and when he used his Sciention earth energy to form a rope, he could stretch 100 miles out. Back when Gu Qinsha was building a mansion on a mountain in Wuzhou, the innate Gang Qi swept through the entire mountain and transformed it into a huge palace. The degree of movement of the innate Gang Qi almost stunned the green and white snakes. But now, Gu Qinsha's earth energy was even stronger. He was at peak Dao Realm 14 transformation and could use the power of the soul. After many comprehensions, his earth energy circulation was really shocking. Just now, with just a thought, the innate stellar energy automatically flew out. After cultivating the soul to leave the body, the Sciention earth energy contained the will of the soul and was much more agile. It was like an incarnation of the body. This prince is really amazing. The two brothers looked on and were extremely shocked. During these few days, they hadn't seen Gu Qinsha show his true strength. Now that he suddenly appeared, they saw tens of thousands of streaks of Sciention earth energy shoot out from Gu Qinsha's body. In just a few breaths, the nearby bushes were filled with captured monsters. At such a speed, no matter how many monsters there were, they would all be captured. 7-colored demon vine, absorb. Gu Qinsha once again sent a large amount of astral energy into the demonic vine. The demonic vine's tentacles once again stabbed into the bodies of the fiends. Now, the 7-colored demonic vine had hundreds of tentacles, and each tentacle was several miles long. In other words, the creatures within several miles could not escape the attack of this demonic vine. After half an hour, the thousands of monsters that Gu Qinsha had captured were once again absorbed by the 7-colored demonic vine. After the vampiric demon vine evolved into a 7-colored demonic vine, its absorption ability had greatly increased. Crack! The Shaman brothers even saw 3 Nether Armor Great Devils being absorbed by the demonic vines. Even their thick shells seemed to have softened as they were absorbed by the vines. The 7-colored demonic vine had now grown to a height of 100 feet, and the tentacles of the demonic vine were tens of miles long. "I'm afraid we won't be a match for this demonic vine," said the 2 Shaman brothers. "Armor derivation," Gu Qinsha urged. At this time, 2 sets of armor appeared on the treetop. The armor was dark gold in color, but there were many shining stars within. There were also dragon roars. The armor moved, and wings grew out from its back. The seven-colored demonic vine had absorbed 3 nether armor great devils, and it had actually formed an armor on the tree. These 2 armors are no weaker than the great dragon armor. After normal people wear them, they can fly really quickly, and no evil can harm them. Experts below Tao Realm Transformation 5 won't be able to break them. Gu Chensha pointed at the 2 armors and gave them to the 2 Shiman brothers. King, you can't. How can we accept such precious items? The 2 Shiman brothers rejected. The 2 of you should be rewarded for defending this place. Gu Chensha said, there is no need to be so polite. Moreover, this isn't precious to me. The vampiric demon vine has been refined into the 7-colored demonic vine. As long as it absorbs the essence, blood, and souls of these monsters, it will be able to form all sorts of things. Not only could the 7-colored demonic vine form the 7-colored essence fruit, but it could also form all sorts of things based on Gu Chencha's techniques. For example, if it absorbed the metal weapons, it could even form flying swords on the tree. The Heaven Monster book recorded how amazing the Heaven Monster tree was. How could something created by the ancient monster race, saint from comprehending the Hongmeng tree, be ordinary? After 2 months of hard work, Gu Chensha had evolved the vampiric demon vine into the 7-colored demonic vine. He had some confidence in suppressing the monsters here. At least, he could obtain many benefits. The 2 Shiman brothers accepted the 2 armors and flipped them around in love. Gu Chensha sat beneath the 7-colored demonic vine and refined it repeatedly, allowing it to digest the essence blood of the thousands of monsters it had absorbed. The roots of the 7-colored demonic vine became bigger and bigger. It stabbed deeper and deeper into the ground and gave off an invincible aura. Gu Chensha comprehended the mysteries of this technique. He rotated his body and realized that there were many areas where the 7-colored demonic vine could merge with his body. My Sun Moon Dragon body is extremely powerful now, but the Heaven Monster book recorded an even stronger body than the Sun Moon Dragon body. That is the primordial chaos sacred body. In the past 2 months, Gu Chensha cultivated without the assistance of the Dragon Gate and any Dharma treasures. He suppressed the sea of sin and sorted out all his previous cultivation techniques again. At the same time, he memorized the various mystic techniques recorded in the Heaven Monster book. Through the practice of refining the vampiric demon vine, he could perform the scenes of demons from the primordial world in his sea of consciousness with a little meditation. Although the mystic techniques contained in the Heaven Monster book were demonic Tao, there were also primordial secrets in them. The primordial chaos sacred body was not achieved through cultivation. Instead, one had to obtain the fruit of the primordial chaos tree, swallow it, refine it, and comprehend its mysteries. Then, one's entire body would become an existence similar to the primordial chaos tree. Of course, it was far inferior to the real primordial chaos tree, but it also had the characteristics of the primordial chaos tree. Even a true sage was as insignificant as a grain of sand compared to the primordial chaos tree. The greatest secret in the Heaven Monster book was actually the method to condense the Heaven Monster tree. It contained some information about the primordial chaos tree. In this way, on the surface, Gu Chensha was refining the Heaven Monster tree, but in reality, he was using the Heaven Monster tree's advancement to understand the secrets of the primordial chaos tree. At the same time, he was combining the structure of the primordial chaos tree with the Sun Moon Dragon body, pushing his physical body to a terrifying level. At this moment, during the process of the vampiric demon vine's evolution into the rainbow demon vine, Gu Chensha had also changed his body's acupoints, Dantian's sea of qi, and even his sea of consciousness, making them more solid. He was exploring the structure of the primordial chaos tree and evolving himself to become stronger. Refining Dharma treasures was one thing, but more importantly, his own cultivation. The Tranquil Fairy Bureau had Lu Baiwei, the Fourth, Zhuge, Jean Suebois, and others in charge, so there were no mistakes. Especially Zhuge. After recovering his identity as the Lord of 7 Stars, he had deep plans for everything. He could definitely suppress the National Fortune Party, the Scenic Martial Chamber of Commerce, the Hongyun Games, and other organizations. Even the Heavenly Designer Institute would be suppressed. If the rainbow demon vine absorbs a lot of souls and blood essence, it can transform into the ghost god's touch. At that time, I can rely on my own enlightenment to see through some of the secrets of the primordial chaos holy body. Although I can't become a real primordial chaos holy body, it won't be a problem to expand my Dantian sea of qi and my sea of consciousness. Gu Qinsha was constantly pondering the mysteries of cultivation. This was the strength of a true cultivator. Always thinking, always striving for self-improvement. He would never be lazy and would always strive for perfection. While he was cultivating the heavenly demon tree in the bottomless sea of sin, high up in the sky, two people were lurking in the depths of a cloud. They were a man and a woman. The woman was none other than Wu Dankong, sitting upright in the clouds. The thick clouds concealed her entire body. The man's face was somewhat similar to Gu Qinsha's, and he was dressed like a prince. This prince was actually the most mysterious second prince, Gu Qinsha, who had never shown up in the court. Your Highness, did you ask me out today for the details of the cooperation between the Hongyun Games and our Jingwu Chamber of Commerce? Wu Dankong asked. Cooperation is a small matter. There was a mysterious smile on Gu Xuansha's face. I know that you have been collecting souls like crazy recently. It seems that you are practicing a secret method. I also need a lot of souls to refine a magic weapon. Therefore, let's cooperate and come to the place where the seal of the bottomless sea of sin is broken to capture demons. First, we can help the great Yonko court eliminate demons. Second, we can find out the truth about Gu Qinsha. What do you think? Both of them were experts with extremely high realms. Their cultivations were above the 18 changes of Tao realm. Naturally, they could see everything within thousands of miles, even tens of thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. In their eyes, they could see the edge of the cliff of the bottomless sea of sin. Within a small area of dozens of miles, the seven-colored demonic vine planted by Gu Qinsha was constantly absorbing the blood and souls of demons. The Marquis of Zhenhai invited this person to suppress the demons in the bottomless sea of sin. This person is really powerful. He actually used the demons to refine the strongest magic weapon in the book of Heavenly Demon, the Heavenly Demon Tree. Wu Dankong looked at Gu Qinsha with deep hatred in his eyes. It's not that easy to refine the Heavenly Demon Tree. Even the great ancient demons had to kill countless living beings and experience thousands of years before they could refine it. This treasure is too heaven-defying. During the refining process, there will be layers of tribulations. Gu Qinsha stared at the seven-colored demonic vine below and seemed to have some ideas. But 19th Brother's cultivation is really powerful. Although he is at the 14 changes of Tao realm, I think he may even kill an expert of the 18 changes. His sea of qi, the innate gang qi in his sea of consciousness, and the strength of his spirit are comparable to ours. You have to know that we are so many realms higher than him. Wu Dankong frowned. The seal in the center of the bottomless sea of sin is gradually breaking. There are extremely powerful demons lurking in it. I'm afraid we can't go in and kill them. So 19th Brother is very careful. He only catches some weak demons and will not go deep into the center. Gu Qinsha praised. He is a talent. He will be one of my future opponents. I originally thought that among my brothers, the fourth was the only opponent. I didn't expect 19th Brother to join us. Chapter 3:13. No problem. The rainbow demon vine he refined belongs to you. With just a few words, Gu Qinsha decided Gu Qinsha's fate. His tone was high and mighty, as if he had calculated everything. Although the rainbow demon vine is mysterious, it's only equivalent to the 9th to 10th transformation of the Tao realm. I don't know any secret techniques from the book of Heavenly Demon, so what's the point? Wu Dangkong scoffed. Is this your sincerity? Of course not. I can use the soul-absorbing technique to take everything from old 19th's mind. His combat strength isn't bad, but his realm is too low. If he had the Dragon Gate, I wouldn't be able to do anything to him. With his current strength, I can suppress him with a flip of my hand. Gu Xiansha smiled and said, Of course, I still have to wait a little longer. He has a lot of secrets, and there is an extremely powerful power of creation in his bloodline, which can quickly activate the seven-colored demonic vine. Let's just watch here and find a chance to help him secretly so that he can evolve this treasure quickly. Wouldn't it be great if we can make a gift for him? You're that confident? Wu Dangkong asked curiously. The Lord of Seven Stars is scheming behind him. I'm afraid everything is within her expectations. The Lord of Seven Stars is strong, but she hasn't fully matured yet. No matter how mysterious and unfathomable Gu Xiansha was, he didn't dare underestimate the Lord of Seven Stars. They're also greedy. They want to refine the Dragon Gate, the Buzhou Palace, and the Book of Heavenly Demon into one treasure. The result of that is that the treasure can't be activated at all, and it'll be hard to completely merge them. There are so many drawbacks, so it's better to use them separately. You're oversimplifying things. With the help of the Lord of Seven Stars, the Black Tortoise, and the Vermilion Bird, as well as Jin Suibwa, the Lord of Five Stars, I'm afraid it'll be very difficult to master it. When Wu Dangkong thought about this, he was furious. Those two experts, Ke Ying and Ke Huang are also idiots. They gave away the Vermilion Bird egg for nothing. They've basically lost all their capital. Now the Vermilion Bird and the Black Tortoise have gathered in the calm, immortal department. With every day that passes, their strength will increase greatly. It makes sense that those two demonesses didn't try to scheme against the Lord of Seven Star. If the Lord of Seven Star was so easily schemed against, then she wouldn't be so easily tricked. An enigmatic smile appeared on Gu Xuansha's face. But the Lord of Seven Stars isn't invincible. I'd like to take advantage of this opportunity to pit my wits against the Lord of Seven Star. His identity has been exposed, and he has to refine that sphere of life's wishes. He also has to be on guard against all sorts of old-timers. He'll definitely be exhausted from running around. That'll give me plenty of opportunities. Speaking of which, what kind of existence is behind you? I remember that your aptitude was only above average in the past. After leaving the imperial court for so many years, your aptitude has actually become a peerless genius. This is somewhat similar to Gu Tanjian. You must have had some kind of fortuitous encounter, and there must be a giant behind you. May I know which force it is? Wu Dangkong seemed to know some kind of secret. You'll know when the time comes. The ancient mystic sand was very mysterious, but I have to tell you that the person behind me is definitely stronger than Gu Tanjian. Oh, Wu Dangkong didn't quite believe him, but she knew how powerful the ancient mystic sand was. This prince's internal energy was even stronger than hers. So what you're saying is that we should just sit back and watch Gu Qinsha cultivate? Of course not. If my speculations are correct, you're capturing living creatures to sacrifice to some powerful entity to gain power, said the ancient mystic sand. The profound ancient sand said, in that case, Gu Qinsha's seven-colored demonic vine has absorbed countless souls. The more powerful the seven-colored flower vine is, the more souls it will contain. If you sacrifice this demonic vine, it will be equivalent to sacrificing millions of evil souls. What we need to do now is secretly draw some of the devil creatures toward Gu Qinsha. That way, he'll be able to absorb them faster. That's true. If he absorbs them so slowly, how long do we have to wait? As soon as Wu Dangkong heard it, she immediately knew that the rainbow demon vine could be used as a sacrifice for countless souls, and the effect was much better than sacrificing souls alone. In that case, let's do it secretly. The ancient mystic sand moved his body and hid himself. He landed on the edge of the vast magic grass prairie with a radius of 3,000 miles in the boundless sea of sin. With his cultivation, he didn't dare to enter the center of the sea of sin. It could be seen that there were really powerful devils who could devour the world. Wu Dangkong naturally followed him. Suddenly, Gu Chench's heart skipped a beat, and he was alarmed. Although his cultivation was not very high, and he was far from being able to deduce the mysteries of heaven and earth, because of his exquisite cultivation and profound understanding of Tao, he often had a premonition. I'm afraid that something big will happen. He immediately raised his spirits. West gate left, west gate right. Yes. The two masters immediately knelt on one knee and obeyed the order. Don't act rashly for the time being. Don't leave the range of the rainbow demon vine. Gu Qinsha warned, I'm afraid something will happen next. As he spoke, he suddenly activated the heavenly demon's secret method. Immediately, the range of the rainbow demon vine began to shrink from dozens of miles to a few miles. As the range shrank, the power became greater. Roar! At this moment, when he shrank the range, the roar of the devil grass came again. It was the voice of a monster. The demonic herbs on the grassland seemed to be growing nonstop. Originally, when Gu Qinsha came here, he was only as tall as 2 or 3 people. Now he was as tall as 5 or 6 people. Furthermore, it seemed like he was still growing and thickening. These devil grasses were the food of those monsters. There were also situations where the monsters killed each other to eat meat, but most of them ate these devil grasses. In the depths of the bottomless sea of sin, there seemed to be a huge force driving the devil grasses in the basin with a radius of 3,000 miles to grow wildly. Your Highness, the army of monsters has appeared. Just as the two Sheeman brothers replied, the demonic grasses in the surroundings started to surge crazily. Groups of demonic creatures rushed out and attacked the 7-colored demonic vine. The first to jump out was actually a bunch of snake-headed monsters holding long black scythes. These monsters were snake soul demons. They spat out long tongues and were really famous in the ancient hell. They were life-reaping impermanents. The snake soul demons were really quick. The black scythes they held were made of hell iron, and when they slashed, they could even injure experts at the Tao Realm Transformation 3 experts. This was because the scythes had a corrosive power. I've been carefully hiding my aura, so why are these monsters swarming over? Gu Qinsha frowned, but since they were sent to him, then he wouldn't let them go. 7-colored demon vine, pierce. He activated the secret technique once more, and the 7-colored demon vine's thousands of tentacles stretched out once more. Pung, 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 pung. Every strike of the vines accurately pierced through a fiend. In the past, after the vampiric demon vine pierced the monster, it would need to wiggle for a while before it could suck the blood dry. But now that it had evolved into the 7-colored demon vine, its strength increased greatly. In a flash, the monster that was pierced turned into a dried corpse and fell to the ground. The roots of the demon vine wiggled underground and pulled the dried corpse into fertilizer. All of a sudden, the monsters that charged over fell to the ground like raindrops. Gu Qinsha repeatedly activated his hand seals, urging the demonic vines to grow. He couldn't understand why the monsters on the grassland would suddenly rush at him, but he could only deal with them as they came and devour them all. This saved him a lot of effort. The 7-colored demon vine could evolve quickly. All of a sudden, who knew how many monsters swarmed over? They were so dense that the 7-colored demon vine didn't even have time to kill and absorb them. Gu Qinsha could only activate his hands and release a large shield of innate aura chi from his body, covering the ground in a radius of several miles, to prevent the monsters from squeezing in. However, the fiend monsters attacked crazily without any regard for their lives. They seemed to be motivated by some kind of power and were willing to sacrifice themselves. They hit Gu Qinsha's innate stellar chi barrier, but how could they do anything to the barrier? In the past, Gu Qinsha used the innate aura chi to transform into a black tortoise, wrapped himself in it, and lurked in the deep sea where even golden core experts couldn't enter. But now, his cultivation was 100 times stronger than before. When the innate aura chi spread out, it was simply an absolute defense. After using the aura chi to block the swarming monsters, the 7-colored demon vine kept extending its tentacles outside the aura chi shield. In just a flash, it pierced through the monsters, pulled them in, sucked them dry, and turned their corpses into fertilizer. Just like that, the swarming monsters became an inexhaustible source of food for the seven-colored demonic vine. Originally, Gu Chansha had to send the two brothers to capture them or use his aura chi to search the periphery and pull on the monsters. This was somewhat time-consuming and energy-consuming. But now that the monsters were surging over, all he had to do was use the seven-colored demon vine to kill them. It was simply lying on the ground, and food automatically jumped into his mouth. While feeling strange, Gu Chansha became even more vigilant. Sky Demon Art: condense all techniques, kill gods and slay immortals, and bow to ghosts and gods. He secretly activated the secret art. At this moment, in the center of the seven-colored demon vine tree above his head, a fist-sized yellow-skinned gourd condensed. The moment the gourd condensed, the Shimen brothers trembled. They felt as if their souls were about to freeze. They looked at the gourd with extreme fear. They felt as if a certain murderous aura was born in the gourd. Kill, 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 kill. Boundless killing intent brewed in the depths of the gourd, wanting to destroy everything. Is this the legendary immortal slaying god, slaying flying dagger? The Shimen brothers trembled. Oh, you guys know about this flying dagger? Gu Chansha was a little surprised. These two brothers seemed to be very knowledgeable. They were definitely not ordinary people. We studied the immortal Tao history section of the Heavenly Talisman ceremony. The Shimen brothers said, rumor has it that although the Divine Prefecture's #1 fiercest was captured, he couldn't be killed no matter what. It was 3 celestial venerables who used this flying dagger that beheaded him. This flying dagger is a gourd that the Golden Crow race's demonic sage plucked from the primordial mist tree in ancient times. Chapter 314. In ancient history, there were a few Dharma treasures that were born purely for killing, and the immortal slaying, god-slaying flying dagger was one of them. This treasure was invincible and could cut through anything. It was first born in the primordial tree and condensed into a gourd. When the gourd was opened, a flying dagger would fly out. It was first plucked from the primordial tree by a demon sage of the Golden Crow clan. The Golden Crow clan was known as the Children of the Sun. They were abnormally powerful and could burn mountains and boil seas. Later, this gourd fell into the hands of the 3 heavenly venerables because of the many battles between the fiend gods and demons. However, many mysteries contained in this Dharma treasure had been recorded in the Book of Heavenly Fae. As long as the Heavenly Fae tree was refined, this gourd would condense and release the immortal slaying god, slaying flying dagger. Of course, this refined Dharma treasure was a postnatal Dharma treasure and was far from being comparable to the one plucked from the real primordial tree. However, it was still powerful and could slay gods and ghosts. Condensing this treasure required a lot of effort. Gu Chansha should not have refined it at this time. Fortunately, there were endless fiend monsters gathering. Even the rainbow demon vine could not absorb them all at once. He could use the excess soul blood essence that could not be absorbed to condense the immortal slaying god, slaying flying dagger into the gourd. He felt that something was wrong, so he secretly refined this Dharma treasure with the strongest offensive power. Buzz, 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 as the gourd condensed, all the nutrients of the rainbow demon vine seemed to be snatched away and gathered violently in the gourd. In fact, if he condensed this gourd now, it would instantly suck away all the vitality of the rainbow demon vine, causing the vine to die and the refining of the Dharma treasure to fail. Fortunately, the countless fiend monsters and Gu Chansha's mysterious astral energy could completely withstand it. The two of you, I'll teach you a Sky Fae mystic art. Stay at the edge of my astral energy barrier and help me kill the fiends. Gu Chansha sent another psychic well into the depths of the Shimen brothers' sea of consciousness. The Shimen brothers were overjoyed. They digested this mystic technique in a few breaths and immediately leaped out to kill fiend monsters at the edge of Gu Chansha's astral energy barrier. What they killed were fiends with extremely high cultivation bases, who could even withstand the attacks of the 7-colored demonic vine. The 7-colored demon vine's strength was only at Tao Realm Transformation 9. Although it was quick to kill those normal monsters, it was tough to kill those that cultivated Sciention energy, especially since there were true demon kings above Tao realm transformation. Even if they fought one-on-one, they could probably wipe out the seven-colored flower vine. However, these monsters were blocked by Glyph's astral chi barrier and could not come in. The seven-colored demonic vine looked powerful, but after all, it was not yet mature. Glyph had only planted it for 2 or 3 months. How could it become a powerful existence? Even so, it was still extremely shocking. Even some of the old antiques of the profound immortal Tao sect couldn't refine a magic treasure that could compare to a Tao realm 9th transformation expert in just a few months. All magic treasures required a long time to polish. Brother, do you see that nether armor great demon? He is really strong and actually wants to slice the 7-color flower vines. The Shaman brothers arrived at the edge of Glyph's astral energy barrier and locked onto a strong demon. It was a nether armor great demon. Apart from its shining armor, there seemed to be flames in its eyes. Its body actually gave off thick astral energy. This was the Demon King of the Nether Armor Great Demons. Demon King was pretty much the same as a Tao Realm Glass J-Body expert. These fiends were recorded in ancient books as Demon Soldier, Demon General, Demon King, Demon Emperor, Demon God, and Demon Saint. Demon Saint was the same as a saint. Those below mortal realm were all called demon soldiers. Those below Tao realm transformation 6 were called demon generals, and demon general was from 6 to 8. Those above Tao realm transformation 9 were called demon kings. Those who reached 18 were called demon emperors. Right now, the dark armored great demon that was exuding innate stellar energy and had a glazed carapace was undoubtedly a devil king. It attacked repeatedly with a blood-red saber in its hand. As long as the 7-color demonic vines stretched out, it would slash down fiercely, causing the dozens of vines to be unable to pierce through the other monsters. Apart from that, the Nether Armor Great Demon King continued to use the blade light to try to break Glyph's astral energy barrier. The Shaman brothers aimed at the demon. So, the two of them used their Sciention energy together, and their speed instantly increased. They charged out of Glyph's astral energy barrier and charged at the Nether Armor Great Demon King. The Nether Armor Great Demon King sensed danger. The blood-colored blade in his hand drew an arc and aimed at their vitals. But the two of them split apart. The moment they dodged the blade light, they joined hands once more. Poochie, an eye-catching light slashed through the darkness and shot right into the Nether Armor Great Demon King's eyes. The Nether Armor Great Demon King let out a shrill scream as its aura immediately weakened. At that moment, the two brothers joined their palms together and astral energy swept out. They captured the Nether Armor Great Demon King and sent it back into the astral energy barrier. The 7-colored flower vines followed and drilled into the Nether Armor Great Demon King's body through the wound in its eyes. In an instant, it was completely absorbed. Even the armor and the blood-colored blade were absorbed, leaving not a single corpse behind. Nether Armor Great Demon Kings of this level were already free of impurities. They circulated the true samadhi fire in their bodies to cultivate day and night, so they were already very pure. It was impossible for them to leave behind dried corpses like other fiends. Those corpses were impurities and could only be used as fertilizer. After the 7-colored flower vine absorbed the Nether Armor Great Demon King and its blood-colored blade, its color turned brighter. It seemed to have improved. And in the middle of it all, the tiny calabash hanging on the vine above Glyph's head suddenly emitted a blood-colored light. Following that, it dimmed as though it had been completely digested. The combat power of these two is extraordinary. They have been tempered 1,000 times. I wonder how many times they have fought. They are indeed quite powerful. Glyph had watched the two Shaman brothers kill the nether-armored Great Demon King. Originally, The two brothers and the Nether family Great Demon King had the same cultivation. In terms of combat strength, the Nether Armor Great Demon King was much higher than humans of the same level, be it in terms of strength or battle experience. In the Hellfiend domain, there were battles every day. The weak had no way of surviving at all. But when the two of them worked together, in just one round, they heavily injured the Nether Armor Great Demon King. When they used their moves, they were like flowing water. From this, one could see that the two of them weren't ordinary, and they had trained under Marquis Calming Sea. Guchench's evaluation of Marquis Calming Sea's strength increased once more. After the seven-colored demon vine absorbed the Nether Armor Great Demon King, its roots and vines were filled with rumbling essence energy. Absorbing the essence, blood, and soul of such a Tao Realm 9 transformation Great Demon King was much better than absorbing tens of thousands of demons. Guchencha once again used the Sky Demon Mystic Art to help the seven-colored demonic vine digest it quickly. At the same time, he injected a lot of Devil Chi, the essence of killing and the natural killing intent in the soul into the gourd through the squirming of the vines, brewing the ultimate killing treasure. In just dozens of breaths, all the essence of the Nether Armor Great Demon King had been digested. The seven-colored demon vine became more condensed, and a thin talisman appeared on the yellow gourd. This talisman looked like a crack in the sky, and it was a shocking sight. Guchencha didn't care and continued to absorb all sorts of demons. As for the two Shaman brothers, they roamed around and killed some strong existences to make things easier for the seven-colored demon vine. The seven-colored demon vine was a growth treasure and not a killing weapon. Its single-target attack strength wasn't that strong, and it was just apparent. Moreover, it was still in its infancy. In ancient times, many demon sages created the heavenly demon tree dermic formulation to build their own lair. When a monster refined the heaven monster tree, it was the same as building a nest for themselves. Usually, they could cultivate on the tree. The entire tree was like a world. The branches could connect to many dimensions and absorb energy from within. Then, according to the monster's will, it would form all sorts of treasures and pills. This was the extreme of the monster Tao, and it was similar to the Tao of nature. After the seven-colored demon vine swallowed the 9 transformation Nether Armor Great Demon, it became even stronger. The demon vine was like lightning, and it actually brought with it a crackling lightning glow. Its speed at least doubled. With just a flash, it pierced through a few demons who cultivated Sciention earth energy and pulled them in. The seven-colored demon vine was originally unable to kill these demons, but now it was extremely easy. At this moment, in Guchench's fief, Zhugia, Lubaiwe, Jean Suwa, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise the Fourth, and even Long Zaifei, Lu Huayue, the Green and White Snakes, and Lu Yu gathered together. They each injected their Sciention earth energy into the life's wish sphere. As they painstakingly refined this treasure, it also made their primordial spirit and earth energy purer. Their acupoints, sea of consciousness, sea of chi, and meridians tougher, stronger, and more capacity. The life's wish sphere had fused with the book of heavenly demons, the Buzhou Palace, the Dragon's Gate, the power of the 3 sages, and the wonders of the death exemption talisman. It was already a magic treasure that could suppress one's destiny. All the core experts of the Calmness Immortal Department would often gather together to refine this treasure and gain valuable cultivation experience. Once the life's wish sphere was refined, the Calmness Immortal Department wouldn't have to fear the covetous eyes of many old fogies. At this time, Zhuge Yu was becoming more and more unfathomable. His majestic aura suppressed the 5 lakes, 4 seas, and 8 desolates. He had already been the true Lord of 7 stars for 2 to 3 months, but his foundation was already very solid. With his talent and the resources of the Calmness Immortal Department, his cultivation speed was faster than the sun and the moon. In the deepest state of meditation, Zhuge Yu woke up. With a flick of his finger, a speck of starlight appeared in front of him, then spread out and turned into a mirror. In the mirror, the scene of the 3,000-kilometer bottomless sea of sin appeared, vivid in his mind. Zhuge Ye saw Gu Chansha cultivating the tree of heaven monster, constantly killing demons, and secretly refining the immortal-slaying, god-punishing gourd. Chapter 315. Trying to fool me, the Lord of Seven Stars? That's child's play, said Zhuge Ye with a cold smile. Sir Zhuge, what's going on? Asked Lu Baiwei, immediately sensing his psychic fluctuations. Could it be that someone is plotting against Chansha? That should be the case. Zhuge Ye's cold smile faded, replaced with a solemn expression. I just did some calculations. The ones plotting against your highness are most likely Wu Dangkong and the second prince, Gu Xiansha. Second bro. The fourth, Gu Huasha, stared blankly for a moment, then calmed down. Second bro has secretly returned. I knew about that a long time ago, but as soon as he returned, he joined forces with Wu Dangkong to deal with the Celestial Commerce Department. That's a bit surprising. Doesn't he know that the Celestial Commerce Department is extremely powerful now? Large numbers of people have submitted to us. In the past 2 or 3 months, our taxes have tripled. The fourth wasn't wrong. The news that Zhuge Ye had submitted to the Celestial Commerce Department as the Lord of Seven Stars had already spread throughout the Immortal Tao. Many people within the 72 profound gates of the Immortal Tao were shocked. The Lord of Seven Stars was an ancient legend. She possessed the wisdom of heaven and earth, the power of heaven and earth, and the ability to subvert the natural order of things. In time, the Lord of Seven Stars would become a saint. If even the 72 profound gates of the Immortal Tao were shocked, then there was no need to even mention the second and third-rate sections. In recent days, many sects that had previously refused to submit to the Celestial Commerce Department came knocking, expressing their willingness to pay taxes and ask for protection. Jin Suebua was in charge of this matter. He was extremely powerful to begin with, and now that he had become the Lord of 5 Stars, he was practically a born saint. His cultivation base had advanced by leaps and bounds, and he was able to turn the tides among the second and third-rate profound gates of the Immortal Tao. During this time, the Celestial Commerce Department's power had snowballed. Originally, there had been 300 or 400 second and third-rate sects pledging allegiance. Now, there were roughly 1,000. Of course, Jin Suebua's contributions couldn't go unnoticed. He had maneuvered about, roped in, and suppressed them. In just a few months, he had created this explosive situation. Of course, the various taxes collected from the calming Immortal Department treasury were also constantly increasing. Fortunately, the Immortal Tao sects that paid taxes to the calming Immortal Department wouldn't suffer any losses. This was because they could purchase many relatively practical magic treasures from the calming Immortal Department, such as the heaven-mending battle armor and all sorts of pills. Gu Chincha's fief had been transformed by the auras of Zhuge Ye, the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, and the others. Then, it was suppressed by the sphere of the common people's wish. Its operation had already surpassed the mystic realms of many Immortal Tao sections. Even though he had yet to truly master the life's wish sphere, its original ability to forge artifacts was still there. Furthermore, as the fusion process grew stronger, as long as he had the materials, he would be able to forge artifacts and pills of excellent quality at will. Like this, those Immortal Tao sects also felt that there were great benefits, and they were even more willing to submit to the calm Immortal Department, creating a virtuous cycle. Be it the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, Zhuge Ye, or the Jin Suebua, they were all top-notch experts. Coupled with the life's wish sphere, which was formed by the Book of Heavenly Demon, Buzhou Palace, and Dragon's Gate, the refinement of magic treasures was like the surging tide. Overall, if the calming Immortal Department's strength continued to grow, it would probably become a true powerhouse in 3 to 5 years. At that time, it wouldn't be strange for it to subdue the weaker Immortal Tao sects of the 72 Immortal Tao sections. The 72 Immortal Tao sects weren't monolithic. They fought among themselves, and some even had deep enmity. For example, the Black Heaven Earth sect and the Black Cosmos sect both wanted to destroy the other's orthodoxies. These conflicts could also be used. In fact, Jean Suebua had already decided on some plans. It was to sow discord among the immortal Dao sects, and the calming immortal department would reap the benefits. He had always been carrying out this plan. Countless materials from the immortal Dao were selected by Jean Suebua and integrated into the Life's Wish sphere. The Life's Wish sphere was becoming more and more mysterious. It contained many secret techniques, and Zhuge Yu was able to innovate. In terms of aptitude, even many ancient demon race sages were inferior to him. Chun Sha is using the blood and souls of those monsters to refine the most mysterious heavenly demon tree in the Book of Heavenly Demon. This method is good, and those monsters are very useful. To refine the heavenly demon tree as quickly as possible, the fastest cultivation method is to kill living beings and absorb their souls and blood. Lu Baiwa saw it clearly. If this tree is refined, it will be enough to suppress the seals of the bottomless sea of sin. No matter how many monsters come, they will be killed, and they will become resources. Those trees will bear all kinds of armors, weapons, pills, magic treasures, and fruits. At that time, our calming immortal department will have another production base. This is His Highness's plan. Zhuge Yu clicked his tongue in admiration. His Highness also seems to feel that someone is plotting against him, so he would rather the seven-colored demonic vine grow slowly to condense the immortal, slaying, God-punishing gourd from the tree. This treasure needs many days to brew, and once released, it will be extremely powerful. Even a mortal body will be injured. We have to be prepared at all times. The fourth brother, Guasha, said, logically speaking, the common people's wish sphere has the ability to break through the void and traverse various dimensions. It's a pity that we can't activate it. Otherwise, we could directly transmit its power and cover the bottomless sea of sin for 3,000 miles. No matter what kind of monsters there are, we could absorb them all and directly refine the heavenly demon tree. We don't have this ability yet. Zhuge Yu frowned. The biggest obstacle to merging the three treasures is the core of the heavenly demon book. Gaochen's will, Aunt Hugu, and a few primordial bee souls are gathered together. If they aren't at the core, I should be able to find a way to merge them quickly. There is nothing we can do about it. Although we have an agreement with Gaochen and Aunt Hugu, that is all. Actually, no one trusts each other. Jean Suebua's eyes flashed. However, they can't do anything to us, and we can't do anything to them. Luckily, we can increase our strength. As the Life's Wish sphere becomes more and more unified, they won't be able to do much. It is only a matter of time before we suppress them. Zhuge Yu had absolute confidence. Now, I have an idea. The higher-ups of the Calm Celestial Department gathered together to discuss. Pung. At the edge of the bottomless sea of sin, Gu Chinch's Xiantian astral energy shield shrunk once more, and its power became more concentrated. Shimin Zhua and Shimin Yu's bodies gave off an explosive sound. That was a change in their consciousnesses. During the intense battle, they actually broke through to Dao Realm Transformation 10,000 ways at one heart. The two brothers were geniuses, and Gu Chunsha taught them the Sky Monster secret technique. They were also given large amounts of seven-colored essence fruits. While consuming them to replenish their Xiantian astral energy, they also expanded their meridians and sea of energy. They also strengthened the mental energy in their consciousnesses, allowing them to comprehend and break through. After the two brothers broke through, they became stronger and stronger. They flashed like lightning, and under the protection of Gu Chinch's Xiantian astral energy shield, they killed their way in and out and captured many strong monsters. Honglong. Suddenly, a pitch-black beam of light that was as thick as a water bucket and thousands of feet long smashed onto Gu Chinch's innate energy barrier. The moment the seven-colored demon vines touched the black light, they melted right away. Zhi. The seven-colored demon Vine's main body gave out a painful cry, like it was alive. The seven-colored demon Vine had a mind of its own, and when its tentacles were sliced off, it would feel pain. Be careful. This is a demon that is around the 14th transformation of Tao Realm. Gu Qinsha opened his eyes and looked outside. As expected, among the densely packed monsters that swarmed over, one could see an expert wrapped in a black cloak. Other people might not be able to see through this monster, but Gu Qinsha's Sun Moon Dragon I saw through the black cloak. Within the cloak was a man with a human face and horns on his head. His skin was black and smooth like black jade, and his demonic energy was deep like an abyss. This was the nobility of the demon race. Among the monsters, those that looked like humans were nobles and had a really high status. Be it combat strength, sentient astral energy, or willpower, they were much stronger than normal monsters. This move is the annihilation wave of the infernal demon technique recorded in the Maha Suppression Art. This technique uses sentient astral energy to melt everything. Anything that comes into contact with this light will instantly disintegrate and cease to exist. Gu Qinsha knew that the Shiman brothers were definitely not a match for this devil among the fiends. The seven-colored demonic vine would also be destroyed. In terms of realm, this monster was on the same level as him. But he wasn't shocked. Instead, he was delighted. The appearance of such a strong monster meant that he could push the seven-colored demon vine further. Common people capture. He sat under the seven-colored demon vine tree and suddenly waved his hand. Immediately, a large hand flew out of the astral energy barrier and grabbed at the 14 transformation devil monster. The demon's expression changed drastically. It repeatedly activated the annihilation wave to wash over the large hand, but to no avail. With a slight grab from the large hand, the annihilation wave was completely shattered and a boundless aura enveloped the nobleman. Just as the nobility was about to fall into Gu Qinsha's hand, demonic energy rose up from the depths of the demon grass. The devilish aura turned into countless runes. As the runes combined, they formed a 9-story devil tower. At the top of the devil tower, there seemed to be a huge force suppressing it. It flew over and was about to shatter Gu Qinsha's hand. This is a Golden Dan Great Tao expert among the monsters. The Shiman brothers jumped in fright. Golden Dan Great Tao was already an overlord. If such a person appeared in the divine prefecture, they could create a 1,000-year-old family. So it really did appear? A smile appeared on Gu Qinsha's face. In the instant that the 9-story demon tower appeared, 28 beams of divine light flew out from behind him. These 28 beams of divine light shone with the power of the stars. They resonated with the stars in the sky and carried with them a supreme aura. Whoosh! The 28 beams of divine light flew out. With a single brush, the nobility of the demon race fell into the tower. He was completely trapped, like a fly frozen in amber. Then, the divine light flashed again, and the 9-story demon pagoda also fell into it. An angry voice came from the demon pagoda. It was the 18 transformations demon controlling it, but this kind of demon was still no match for Gu Qinsha. Chapter 316. We will use a secret technique here and use our souls to affect the demons to surge towards him. This is also to test his strength. Gu Xuansha's hands formed a circle and formed a weird seal. I thought that if we fought one-on-one, I would be able to capture and kill him in one move. Now, it seems like he still has a chance to escape. This person is really cunning. Wu Donkong's tone was filled with hatred. We can't let our guard down. Luckily, the situation is still under our control. He absorbed the Tao Realm 14 transformation demon monster and the 18 transformation old demon. He will definitely refine them into the 7-color demon vine. The vine will be even stronger, and I will be able to use it. Once these two monsters are collected, even stronger demons will be alerted. The two of us need to be careful. If we face a demon above Tao Realm Transformation 20, it will be tough for us to escape. Gu Qinsha looked around and didn't dare to be careless. It is okay. Even if I face a demon saint, I will be fine. While Wu Dangkong was speaking, Gu Xiansha was shocked. He only looked at the woman deeply and didn't say anything else. At this moment, Gu Qiansha circulated his mystic technique to suppress the two devils. He could easily suppress the demon emperor of the 14 transformation of the Tao realm, but if the Dragon Gate was still there, he could easily crush him. But now the Dragon Gate was gone, and he had to use 30% of his power to protect the upstanding Qi shield and 50% of his power to guard against emergencies. He could only use 20% of his power to suppress the demon emperor of the 18 transformation of the Great Path, which was a bit too much for him to handle. But he had his own plan. 7-colored demon vine absorb. Behind his back, 28 streaks of starlight turned into a ball and wrapped the two demons within. In just a moment, the Tao Realm 14 transformation demon noble was shattered and absorbed by the 7-colored vine. The 18 transformation Great Tao Demon Emperor turned his Xiantian energy into a pagoda and wrapped himself within. No matter how Gu Qiansha attacked, he couldn't do anything to it. This was the heavenly devil pagoda recorded in the Maha Suppression scripture. Pagoda was the meaning of a pagoda. However, the Maha Suppression scripture that Gu Qiansha obtained from Yi Ming didn't have the cultivation method of the Sky Devil Pagoda. There was only a brief introduction. After mastering this heavenly devil pagoda, one would be able to condense one's entire body's essence, energy, and spirit into a pagoda. It would be invincible when attacking and invincible when defending. This was a top-notch technique that was not inferior to the many mystic techniques in the Heaven Demon book. It was absolutely impossible for Gu Qiansha to break this pagoda with just 20 to 30% of his strength. Humph. So I can't do anything about it? He pointed at the yellow-skinned gourd condensed on the vine. At this moment, the gourd was frantically absorbing the blood, essence, and soul of the 14 transformation devil monster aristocrat through the vine. The 7-colored demonic vine was overflowing with colorful light, and it seemed to have become much stronger. The gourd even absorbed the noble's weapon. A boundless fiendish aura was brewing within it. Open. Kill. Gu Qiansha chanted 2 incantations, and the yellow-skinned gourd suddenly opened. A white light shot out from within and formed a flying knife. This flying knife was just floating in the air. It was only the size of a thumb, but when the supreme killing energy spread out, the monsters outside instinctively shivered. Some of them actually screamed and started to flee. Poochie. The flying knife suddenly flashed like it had teleported and slashed onto the Sky Devil Pagoda. The Sky Devil Pagoda, formed by the 18 transformation Tao Realm Golden Core, Great Tao Demon Emperor, was sliced open in an instant. The Demon Emperor didn't even have time to scream before he was wiped out. All the essence blood was absorbed. The Sky Devil Pagoda turned into runes and merged into the 7-colored demonic vine. At that moment, the 7-colored demonic vine's color actually dimmed and was replaced by a dark gold color. This was the feeling of it evolving into the touch of the ghost god. Blood-sucking demon vine, 7-colored demonic vine, touch of the ghost god, and heaven demon tree. Each of these 4 stages of evolution would increase its strength by dozens of times. Gu Qiansha spent a full 2 to 3 months to evolve the blood-sucking demon vine into the 7-colored demonic vine. He absorbed hundreds of thousands of monsters, and along with his own sun and moon dragon handle, he finally succeeded. As the 7-colored demonic vine got stronger and stronger, the monsters it absorbed would get stronger and stronger, and its evolution speed would get faster and faster. Moreover, the 7-colored demonic vine that Gu Qiansha refined was of a higher quality than any expert refined because he had the sun and moon dragon handle. However, it was still too early for the 7-colored demonic vine to evolve into the touch of the ghost god. Right now, it just had the characteristics of the touch of the ghost god. This immortal slaying god slaying flying knife is actually so strong. Gu Qiansha activated the flying knife, and with a flash, it destroyed an 18 transformation Jindan Devil Emperor. He was secretly delighted. But after activating the flying knife, he could only activate it again in 7 days. This was because the flying knife hadn't been completely condensed. It was just an embryonic form. He needed to constantly absorb the essence, blood, and souls of fiends to refine it and nurture it to become more ferocious. Condense. Gu Chansha sensed the surging power within the 7-colored demonic vine, so he once again used the Heaven Demon secret art. Immediately, 7 fruits condensed on the demonic vine. Each fruit was as tall as a person and was blood red, like a placenta. Some of the essence, blood, and souls that the demonic vine couldn't absorb before were converted and sent into the placenta. 2 hours later, the placenta ruptured, revealing 7 young girls with sharp eyes and sharp claws. They leaped down from the trees, astral energy surging out of them as they charged to the edge of the shield and began to slaughter the devil beasts. The tree can actually bear people. The Shaman brothers were currently recovering after consuming the 7-colored origin fruit. They felt that their cultivation had advanced once again, and when they saw this scene, they were greatly shocked. This is a heart-stealing demon charm. A puppet formed by the Heaven Demon tree is the best at fighting and also has a strong charm ability. Gu Chansha said, the demonic 7-colored vine has absorbed a lot of blood and souls. It's enough for it to evolve. Why don't you use the extra energy to make the tree produce these demonic spirits to help you in battle? The Heavenly Demon tree's mysteries aren't limited to this. In a few months, I can use this tree to create good treasures for you. Gu Chansha's cultivation became purer and purer. During the process of forming the Heaven Demon tree, he started to understand some of the structure of the Hongmeng tree. As he deduced, his body evolved once more. If someone used their essence soul to look at him, they would notice that his meridians were different from humans. They were similar to the roots of a tree and were really mysterious. During these few months of cultivation, it wasn't that Gu Chansha didn't improve. In fact, he improved a lot. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to use 20 to 30% of his strength to use 28 streaks of starlight to suppress the 18 transformation Tao Realm Golden Core Realm Demon Emperor. Even if he was still at the 14 transformation, his combat strength was 2 months ago. His body was just too strong. As he deduced, he merged the 2 techniques once more. He used the structure of the Hongmeng tree to change his body and even his brain and consciousness. He wanted to personally refine the Heaven Demon tree to understand the changes of the Hongmeng tree. Pung pung pung. The 7-headed demon charms charged into the group of monsters. Along with the 7-colored demonic vines, they caused a storm of blood. Thousands more devil beasts were instantly killed. After absorbing the 14th and 18th transformation devil beasts, the power and profoundness of the rainbow vine had increased by several times. Killing the devil beasts was as easy as cutting melons and vegetables. However, there was no end to these monsters. No matter how many they killed, they still swarmed over. Their numbers didn't decrease in the slightest. Moreover, some low-level monsters no longer appeared. Instead, the number of monsters with innate stellar energy gradually increased. Gu Chansha was also shocked. He propped up his stellar energy shield and looked at the never-ending monsters outside. He knew that if he hadn't refined the Heavenly Demon tree, which could condense 7-colored origin fruits to replenish his stellar energy and nourish his nascent soul, he would have long since abandoned his setup and fled. If it was just these demons, he would not be afraid no matter how many came. The key was that he could feel that there were several extremely powerful and evil wills staring at him from the depths of the demonic plant. That feeling was far beyond that of a golden Dan of the Great Path Cultivator at the 18 changes of the Tao Realm. It might even have reached the 20 changes of the Great Path. He might not even be able to defeat such demons one-on-one, let alone several of them. Fortunately, these evil and powerful demons were afraid of him and didn't dare to show themselves. The demons seemed to have deep intelligence. They knew that this was the great Yonko's territory. The name of the heavenly talisman Great Emperor had already spread to various dimensions. Many of the alternate worlds where the demons lived were terrified. One had to know that even God Maha, who led many hell dimensions, had been suppressed. The demons of hell must have more or less known many things. Demon emperors who could reach 18 transformation Tao realm and above would definitely be able to sense all sorts of changes in the world. Gu Qinsha took advantage of the apprehension of these peerless demons to gain space to grow and attract their firepower. If he hadn't been killing monsters here for the past 3 months, many of them would have flown out to wreak havoc in the world. Marquis Calming Sea might not have been able to do better than him. As long as I can buy time, give me another 3 months, and I will be able to cultivate the 7-colored demon vine to the touch of the demon and God. At that time, I will have a 70 to 80% chance of suppressing the monsters. More importantly, in these 3 months, my cultivation can rise to an unbelievable level. Gu Qinsha had been suppressing his cultivation level for the past few days. This was his trump card. Actually, if he had advanced, he could have stepped into the 15 transformation heavenly ice-suspending realm in a month. But he hadn't stepped into it. He used a secret technique to suppress it. When it exploded, it would be earth-shattering. The secret techniques he learned were all of the highest level in the world. Many of them could suppress one's cultivation level until it reached a critical point and exploded, dealing a fatal blow to the enemy. For example, the sun and moon transformation of the son of heaven's god sealing art, and some secret techniques of the great god slaughtering art. If he had another 3 months, his accumulation would reach the peak. Then, he could learn from Zhugia and directly increase a few levels. Chapter 317. Pre-Celestial Tao, Yin-Yang Ghost Transformation, Demonic Secret, Soul Vortex. Gu Qinsha suddenly stood up and punched out. Xiantian Astral Energy suddenly flew out, turning into a huge whirlpool that swept up all the devil beasts dozens of kilometers away. This move was the Soul Vortex of the Sky Monster Mystic Art. When it was activated, it could suck away thousands of souls. Gu Qinsha even used his draconic breath to suck people over. Thousands of monsters were sucked into the ground. Kacha Kacha, the astral energy, turned into a giant millstone, grinding them to pieces. This was the Sun-Moon Millstone. After grinding the monsters, it would be easier for the 7-colored demonic vine to absorb them. The 7-colored demonic vine had now turned into a dark gold demonic vine. There were many ghostly auras faintly appearing on it, just like a kingdom of demons. This was the sign of evolving into the touch of the demon and God. The devil beasts here were the best tonics. With tonics and experts, one's cultivation speed would be very fast. Condense. Gu Qinsha pointed again, and another fruit appeared on the tree. The fruit split open, and extremely handsome men appeared. There were also 7 of them, and they were a perfect match for the heart-stealing demon. This was also a puppet, and it was called the heart-devouring demon centipede. The so-called demons and monsters were extremely powerful existences in the demon race. He could even condense the heavenly demon tree. The heart-devouring demon centipede, heart-seizing demon succubus, heart-rending demon centipede, and heart-destroying demon centipede were puppets with great destructive power recorded in the Sky Demon Secret Arts. Gu Qinsha first refined 7 heart-stealing demons, then 7 heart-devouring demons. This way, when the demons worked together, their lethality would more than double. The moment this demon was born, it had the strength of someone at Tao Realm Transformation 9. Of course, this was also because there were simply too many souls and blood essences here. There was no end to the devil monsters, and there was no end to them. He could squander them as he pleased. Under normal circumstances, Gu Qinsha might not even be able to produce one in a few years. 7 heart-devouring demon hunters and heart-stealing enchantresses were born, and they worked together to attack. He immediately began harvesting the devil monsters as if they were grass. Just like that, Gu Chansha responded to the myriad of changes by remaining unchanging. He killed fiends and monsters, absorbed their souls and blood essence, strengthened the seven-colored demonic vine, and transformed his own body. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. The seven-colored demonic vine had completely turned into a dark gold color. With a slight shake, there seemed to be the wailing of ghosts and gods. At this moment, the gourd above the seven-colored demonic vine was emitting a murderous aura, and under the demonic vine, 28 demons and monsters had been born. These were puppets, and each one was equivalent to a Tao Realm Transformation 9 expert. 4 of them could form a formation. 7 of them could be used to set up a formation, and 28 of them could be used to set up an even larger formation. Of course, these demons and monsters were far inferior to the common life divine general. However, with the advancement of the seven-colored demonic vine, they could eventually transform into the 28 demon god stellar monarchs. After the heaven monster tree was refined, its strongest protector would be the 28 demon god stellar monarch puppets. The tree absorbed the power of the stars and all sorts of souls to form the hornwood serpent, Kong gold dragon, D earth raccoon, Room sun rabbit, heart moon fox, tail fire tiger, water leopard. This meant that the 28 demons and monsters were just the embryonic forms of the 28 demon god stellar monarchs. Hornwood serpent, Kong gold dragon, D earth raccoon, Room sun rabbit, heart moon fox, tail fire tiger, water leopard. Each of these demon god stellar monarchs could suppress heaven and earth. They were the true essence of the heaven monster tree. When Gu Chansha mastered the 28 Qi, Mei, Wang, and Liang, he had more or less comprehended the mysteries of the 28 constellation Fey gods. If the heaven monster tree was refined, after a long period of time, the 28 demon god stellar monarchs would form on the tree. It would be like the gathering of 28 gods into the green dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. This tree would be perfect, and it would be more than enough to suppress a world. However, in ancient times, many demon race sages weren't able to cultivate the heaven monster tree to its peak. Even monster saints weren't able to do so. Even if Gu Chincha's cultivation was dozens of times stronger, he wouldn't be able to cultivate it. If he did, then he would be able to suppress this demon region with just a flip of his palm. That is weird. Another month has passed, and no strong monsters have appeared. The two brothers had just killed a few Tao Realm 7 and 8 transformation demons and sat down to consume the 7-colored essence fruit to recover. They started to discuss. The 14 and 18 demon emperors from last time haven't appeared. Are they afraid? No, the monsters are observing my movements. Gu Chansha said, I can't let my guard down. I feel like there are at least 3 of them above 20 Tao Realm transformations. If they attack me, I might not be able to block them. If Gu Chansha had Dragon Gate, he could deal with 20 transformation demons. Now that he was relying on his own cultivation, it would be tough for him to cross so many realms and kill them. The key was that there wasn't just one. He used the celestial slaying god, slaying flying knife, to destroy the 18 transformation demon emperor's heaven demon pagoda, but it wasn't so useful against 19 and 20 transformation demons. At 19 transformation, one's body could change. If it shrunk to dust, then it wouldn't be easy to kill. At 20 transformation, one would gather and scatter. When it scattered, it would form energy. When it gathered, it would form. Of course, if the celestial slaying god slaying flying knife formed, it would be able to slash everything. If it faced space, it would slash space. If it faced worlds, it would slash worlds. If it faced celestials, it would slash celestials. What Gu Chansha crafted now was less than 1/10,000 of its true strength. Fortunately, during this month, he didn't know how many monsters he had killed, and the flying knife gourd had become a lot more tyrannical. The quality of the 7-colored essence fruit that formed on the tree was much better too. Actually, this tree could form all sorts of things, but Gu Chansha only formed the 7-colored essence fruit. evil demon King Liang, and celestial slaying god slaying flying knife gourd. His current goal was to evolve this tree into the touch of ghost god. This tree was the most difficult Dharma treasure to refine according to the Book of Heaven Demon. Gu Chansha naturally had some insights on how to refine it after studying it for several months. As this tree advanced, Gu Chansha's body would gradually improve. The 28 evil demon King Liang puppets formed a huge array and connected with each other. They constantly captured demons and fed them to the 7-colored demonic vine. Their cultivation levels became sharper, and there seemed to be some runes on their bodies that were about to condense into some Dharma treasure. Come back. Seeing that the evil demon King Liang had left the range of his stellar energy barrier, Gu Chansha immediately called them back. The 28 evil demon King Liang gathered and returned to their respective trees. They were once again enveloped by the membrane fetus and squirmed within. To these 28 evil demon King Liang, the 7-colored demonic vine was their mother. After returning from battle, they still connected their bodies to their mother's body. Weapons. Gu Chansha activated it again and condensed another 28 different weapons on the tree. They were sabers, spears, swords, halberds, hatchets, hooks, tridents, hammers, ropes, shields. These were the weapons of the 28 monster gods and star lords. Gu Chansha had the rainbow flower vines condense them, and then equipped the Qi, Mei, Wang, and Liang puppets to increase their combat power. The evil demon King Liang were all Tao Realm 9 transformation experts. With the 28 of them gathered together and formed a formation, along with the weapons that were related to them, their killing strength increased once more. Anything could be formed from the tree. A full 7 days passed, and the 28 evil demon King Liang appeared once more. Each of them had a weapon in their hands, and each of them was different. These weapons are so strong. The two brothers looked on with envy. Don't be anxious. I will form stronger weapons for the two of you. Gu Chansha's hands formed a circle and shot out many runes. Under his control, the heavenly demon tree once again condensed 2 fruits the size of a human head. These fruits looked like flesh and blood, and there seemed to be the sound of blood flowing in the blood vessels. The two brothers could see that there were really 2 weapons being formed in the fruits. One was a golden spear, and the other was a halberd. I have formed 2 weapons based on your fighting techniques. One is the ancient golden crow's weapon, the great sun golden spear. The other is the weapon that the ancient golden winged rock race uses, the 8 desolation god halberd. If these 2 weapons are formed, they will be really strong and can increase your killing strength by several times. But you will need a long time to gather them and won't be able to train them in a short time. Gu Chansha made these weapons for the 2 brothers to test the 7-colored demonic vine's ability to refine treasures. Thank you, King. These days, the 2 Shiman brothers had followed Gu Chansha on expeditions and slaughtered, and they had benefited greatly. They were already wholeheartedly convinced of Gu Chansha's superiority, and they prostrated themselves before him. Moreover, they had made a firm resolution that the Shiman clan must submit to the calming immortal department. The 2 brothers were Tao Realm Transformation 9 experts and had a really high status in the Shiman family. They had the right to decide many things. Moreover, they had reached Tao Realm Transformation 10 and could do many things at once. While they were speaking, all the demons outside disappeared like a receding tide. It was like they were affected by some power and didn't attack or send themselves to die. This reduced the pressure on Gu Chansha, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Prepare yourselves. Don't leave the range of the 7-colored demonic vine. Something huge is going to happen. The experts of the demon race are about to appear. The 2 brothers' hearts clenched. During these few days, they had a good time killing demons. Now that the demons had retreated, it felt really uncomfortable. One demonic energy rose up from the distance. It was as thick as a beacon. The demonic energy arrived not far from the 7-colored demonic vine and landed. It slowly condensed into a human shape. This person was wearing black clothes and was a handsome man. He had a smile on his face, and his hands were behind his back. When he looked over, it made one feel dizzy and like one's soul was about to fall into a whirlpool. Heaven Demon Tree, not bad, not bad. You want to refine this tree to suppress the sea of sin? This demon was exactly the same as a human, and one couldn't see any signs of a demon at all. Chapter 3:18. Gu Chansha had activated his protective astral energy to envelop an area of several kilometers, preventing any fiend monsters from taking even half a step forward. This was because he was afraid that some powerful fiend monsters would harm the seven-colored demon vine. After so many days of preparation, the seven-colored demon vine's combat strength was around that of a Tao Realm Transformation 13 expert. Although it was strong, its weakness was that it couldn't move. If there were too many of them, the vine wouldn't be able to handle it. Although the vine could automatically kill monsters and absorb their essence blood, without Guchinch's help, its digestion ability was limited. Apart from that, it couldn't digest souls. Everyone knew that to be able to swallow souls, one had to reach the Tao Realm Transformation 13. The reason why the blood-sucking demon vine could absorb souls right from the start was because of Guchinch's usage. Now that the monsters were treated, he didn't use the energy barrier. He was concentrating his strength to deal with this Tao Realm Transformation 20 demon. The wider the range of the energy barrier, the weaker it was. If Gu Chansha shrunk it to a few miles, even Golden Core Tao experts wouldn't be able to break it. But if it covered dozens of miles, then even Tao Realm Transformation 14 or 15 experts could break it. If it was a few hundred miles, then even a 9 transformation glass body could break it. As for a few thousand miles, he didn't have that ability yet. Even if his energy ocean and consciousness ocean expanded and his cultivation improved, there was a limit. Unless he could break through the limits of celestial being and become an anomaly like the sect leader Chong Wei-Yong. Demon, what do you want? Gu Qinsha used mental energy to communicate. The demon language was really lacking and wasn't as bright as human civilization. Naturally, humans wouldn't learn that demon language and experts communicated with each other mentally. How many demons have you killed? I will kill all of you humans and return it. The demon's mental energy was really calm, but Gu Chinch's heart shuddered when he heard it. He had killed at least 10 million demons over the past 4 months. If the demon killed 10 million civilians, then he would be able to do it. But even if he didn't kill them, if they charged out, they would kill civilians. There was no compromise between the two sides. Souls were extremely valuable to gods, and it was the same for freaks. This was a conflict between two races. Either the humans exterminated the devil beasts and became stronger, or the devil beasts treated the humans as food. Many of your devil race's evil gods have also been sealed. What other ability do you have to fight against us? Gu Qinsha seized his will. The new god has been born. If we kill you humans as a sacrifice, we will also receive a gift. This demon moved very elegantly. There was no demonic energy around him, but his nature was extremely evil. You are a powerful sacrifice. What? A new god has been born? Gu Qinsha was extremely shocked. Without the heavenly talisman, how can there be a god? That's just a fake god without a god seat. Could it be that the experts among the demons knew about the birth of the heavenly talisman and came to attack the humans, threatening the human emperor to confer the title of god on him? In the antiquity time, there was such an example. Demons from hell invaded the divine Great Land, and the two sides fought fiercely. Later on, they reached an agreement. Ancient Emperor of Heaven conferred the title of God to the strongest of the demon clan. Then, the demon clan retreated and didn't invade the human race for many years. That was how many evil gods came about. Humans couldn't exterminate the devil race at all. There were too many of them. Every many years, the heavenly Tao would change and invade the human world. The historical records were even more bloody than the barbarians. Since ancient times, the people in the godly land had suffered many disasters. The barbarians invaded, the devil disaster broke out. The evildoers ran amok, and the civil strife was endless. In fact, the barbarians were also related to the devil race. Many of the evil gods that the barbarians believed in were also the gods of the devil race. As soon as the heavenly talisman emperor ascended the throne, he first cut thousands of mountains and filled the sea of sin, blocking the passage of the devil race to the godly land. Then he began to pacify the barbarians. As long as these two external problems were solved, humans could have a breathing space. With the current development speed of the Great Yonko, after a few hundred years, there would be Tao realm experts everywhere. Everyone would be wise, and it would be just a matter of time to eliminate the devil race and the barbarians. Since Heavenly Talisman, Heavenly Monarch ascended to the throne, 19 years had passed, close to 20 years. The population of the Divine Continent had multiplied by several times, and the quality of the population had also risen to a terrifying level. Martial arts masters and Tao realm experts had appeared like bamboo shoots after the rain. Gu Chencha's Department of Tranquility was doing statistics. Being familiar with history, Gu Chensha most regretted the era of the Emperor Wu thousands of years ago. At that time, the Emperor Wu had great talent and strategy. His cultivation was also so great that he could kill gods. At that time, he unified the world and oppressed the barbarians. He built the Dragonization Tower to increase the wisdom of the people. The world was also prosperous and orderly. Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long. Because he was too strong, the natural law changed. The immortals wanted to overthrow the regime and sent many agents to rebel. The monster race and the barbarians also launched a big counterattack. What was more terrible was the appearance of the devil race in the bottomless sea of sin. Under these three troubles, the dynasty collapsed in an instant, and the people were in misery. Now was very similar to the past. The Heavenly Talisman Emperor was in isolation. Wu Dangkong was scourging the world. The aristocratic families were making wishful thinking. The barbarians and the monsters were preparing a big counterattack. The devil race began to gather an army, and the immortals wanted to disturb the court. Once the situation collapsed, the people would immediately be in a terrible dark age. Since you killed so many of our soldiers, if I let you escape this time, how will I have the face to command the army? The monster walked slowly and actually walked into the attack range of the seven-colored demonic vine. It stopped 2 or 3 miles away from Gu Chensha. He stared at the gourd condensed on the seven-colored demonic vine. That was the immortal slaying flying knife. He was a little afraid of this thing. This thing hadn't really taken shape, and its power wasn't great, but it could still seriously injure him. He had to have some scruples. Then a sneer appeared on Gu Chencha's face. Even if you can defeat me today, I'm afraid you won't get any benefits. I know that you're not the only expert here. If you are injured, I'm afraid your companion will devour you or refine you into a puppet to increase his strength. The devil race killed each other and didn't recognize family. Although the weak obeyed the strong, and there was a simple order, there was no trust to speak of. For example, they would devour their companions without hesitation. As expected, there was some fear on the monster's face, but there was also some greed. Gu Chensha knew what the demon was thinking. Although the demon was afraid of being taken advantage of, it also wanted to kill Gu Chensha and obtain the seven-colored demonic vine. If the demon caught him and devoured him, it could obtain his memories and the seven-colored demonic vine to refine itself into a heavenly demon tree. Maybe he could become a devil god in the future. This was also a gamble. The demon was already an expert of the impermanence gathering and dispersing realm, so it could naturally see the mysteries of Gu Chensha and calculate the benefits of devouring him. As expected, the experts of the devil race can't take it anymore. In the distance, Gu Xiansha and Wu Dangkong saw this. They looked at each other with anticipation. Wu Dangkong flicked his fingers and calculated. Even I can't help but want to capture Gu Chensha, take his memories, refine his cultivation, and obtain the seven-colored demonic vine. As she spoke, her body moved slightly. Suddenly, many pitch-black lights flew out. They traveled through the demonic herbs that were 7 or 8 people tall. God knew how many monsters they killed. Then the pitch-black lights turned blood red and flew into her body, disappearing in the blink of an eye. This secret technique of yours is a bit mysterious. With one move, you can absorb the souls and essence blood of monsters. It's even more terrifying than Guchensh's 7-colored demonic vine. You've secretly killed many monsters these days and collected a lot of their souls and essence blood, right? Gu Xianxia watched Wu Dongkong's every move. This secret technique is our Wu family's spirit martial soul-breaking technique. It specializes in killing monsters. Wu Dongkong knew that she had exposed many secrets in front of Gu Xianxia, but she didn't care at all. With the protection of Gu Xianxia here, she could absorb the monster's essence, blood, and souls without worry. At this moment, she closed her eyes and looked inwardly. Deep within her sea of consciousness, she saw a huge space. That was the sun-moon sacrificial altar. Within the space of the altar floated large amounts of blood. At a glance, it was like a world of blood rain. Every drop of blood rain contained a soul. While Wu Dongkong was observing the changes, she didn't stay idle. She killed many monsters and collected their souls and essence blood, preparing for a great sacrifice. Gu Xianxia had a lot of trump cards, but my trump card is even bigger. Gu Xianxia killed the monsters and turned them into the heavenly demon tree. I'll collect the souls and essence blood for the sacrifice. I have 3 million souls in the sun-moon altar now. Last time, more than 300,000 souls were sacrificed for the heavenly Tao divine light. This time, I'll prepare 3,600,000 souls for the sacrifice. Wu Dongkong chuckled coldly. When the time comes, I'll borrow the power of the Tao of heaven to create a true dimension in my sea of energy and consciousness. That way, I'll be able to store magical power and nascent divinity much more efficiently than I am now. My battle prowess will be 10 times stronger. Only when one reached the 30th transformation of the Tao realm and opened up a grotto heaven could they open up a real space in the void, which was the so-called God country. As for refining magical treasures like interspatial rings and bracelets, they could only be refined at the 30th transformation. This was why people who opened up a grotto heaven at the 30th transformation of the Tao realm were similar to gods. As long as they were conferred a title by the emperor, they would be true gods. People at the 30th transformation of the Tao realm were similar to gods, but their lifespans weren't as long as those who had been conferred title. Wu Dongkong used the sacrifice to use the power of the heavenly Tao to turn her energy sea and consciousness sea into 2 grotto heaven spaces that she could control. That way, her energy sea and consciousness sea would be stronger, and the power of the soul and sentient earth energy they could store would increase by 100 times. Not to mention an existence of the same level. Even an existence that surpassed her by a few levels would be easily killed by her. However, it was extremely difficult to collect 3,600,000 souls and essence blood. Luckily, the appearance of the monsters gave her a chance to get rich. This was also the reason why the monster army couldn't wipe out the humans. With the Heaven Sacrifice Talisman, the monsters were a great supplement for the ancient emperor. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.